It's time for MacBreak Weekly. We celebrate our 1,000th episode with our stalwarts, Andy Anako, Alex Lindsay, and Jason Snell. 45 App Store Awards finalists. We will not, I promise, go through all of them. We'll talk about the no-frills update for iOS 27, but two things that may be pretty frilly in the upcoming version of iOS, including that folding phone. Apple seems to have figured out a way to get rid of the crease. That and a lot more coming up next on MacBreak Weekly's 1,000th episode.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 1000, recorded Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. Death by chocolate. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, ladies and gentlemen, the 1,000th episode. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday. Wait a minute. Should I put it this way? Is that backwards?
No, it's forward. Now it's...
Oh, no, we're starting all over again.
We're starting all over again.
You
Ladies
know
and
what?
gentlemen.
I think Apple Talk is here to stay. I don't care about Ethernet anymore. That's
Andy
like too far in
Anako,
advance.
You went and got flat balloons. That's awesome.
Well, I was going to get the real ones, and then the real ones were like $6 each, and then I'd have to like walk through the neighborhood and through the library carrying.
You look like a moron. So this way, you roll them up.
Well,
you put them in your briefcase.
I'm not afraid of looking like a moron, so long as I look like a moron that's consistent with my idiom, and that would have been a different kind of moron.
A balloon.
But hey,
you're not a clown.
Hey, who are you calling an
amuse
idiom?
you? Hey, it's Jason Snell, sixcolors.com. He's wearing the official Twit kepi.
I've got the Twit fez on here. I got my Twit hat. It's good. Happy thousands.
Happy thousandth.
Happy to be a part of the final 3% of.
No, I think more than that.
Okay.
Really? 30%?
No.
30,
more than something like that.
Alex Lindsay has been here for all 1,000. Hello, Alex.
I was here in the first one, and I'm here in the last one. There's some in
So here was, look, this is what Alex looks like. On this cake, it starts like this. 1,000. It's magical. Who wants a piece of cake?
I do.
Just pass it through Zoom.
Yeah.
You know, this is the new
FedEx.
Zoom feature that they haven't announced. That you can. It's the transporter.
At least it's going to blow them out here. Let's see. Lisa is
Zoom
going to
transporter. You just put it on.
There you go.
Comes
Can you
with the
see?
new
Can you see that?
Zoom Office.
We're going to set off the fire alarm, I believe. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, just slice that. You didn't bring a plate and a cake slicer? Well, you might as well just
a prop.
A marauder.
It goes back in the freezer for the next 1,000th episode.
You know what this cake is called? Death by chocolate.
Perfect.
What a way to go.
What a way to go.
An honorable death.
I'm going to try a little bit of it. It's got double chocolate.
A warrior's death.
Good news is only 280 calories per serving. Bad news is there's 138 servings.
There you go.
That's tasty. Did I introduce everybody? Alex?
Yeah.
Andy?
Hello.
Jason?
Hi.
So glad you could be with us on this momentous occasion.
Yes, I hope. I hope if people in Discord are going nuts that my 1,000 is off center, it's because I was framing myself up and I realized that if it was centered, then I would have like mouse ears. Like when they do the single, and I decided, you know what, I kind of want to avoid that meme, and I can choose to not do that.
Andy, can you move your head to the right a little bit, please? Just
for the thumbnail.
To the right.
Just get it right there.
This way.
A little closer. No.
Go back.
If I go any more,
just fall off your chair.
Okay, like that way.
You know what we're talking about, Andrew. We want the ears. The ears, baby.
Fine. You know what? It's because the things that I do for this show.
YIHNATKO.
Actually, that would make me Roy, like the sort of like
You're Roy
somewhat
Disney?
dyspeptic animator that was like the grown-up guy who would draw and drink.
Honey, you didn't have to really do that. I was just joking. Oh, she's making me a piece of cake. Oh, that sounds delicious. I
had one of the MacBreak 1000 cupcakes for breakfast today.
Oh, yum! You made them. You made them. I didn't make this.
I made the money that made the cupcakes.
I made it happen, is what you say.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that looks death by chocolate for sure. For sure.
I mean, if you're gonna if you're gonna get
this.
dessert, get dessert. Don't slap at it. Just get dessert.
How did we get to 1,000? It's because of you guys. I'll be honest. It's your
turns out people just kept showing up. They were like, let's do this one more time.
Yeah, number go up.
Sure, lucky we got 10 fingers, huh?
Yep. I think everybody was just kept tuning in like week after week because maybe this is the one in which the cops will come in and shut it all down during the live stream.
That's good.
Maybe if we're lucky, a guy in a Max Headroom mask will
exactly
jam the signal.
This is what Santa's gift looks like on Christmas morning. Just a nibble, and the carrot for Rudolph is gone. Do you really want to go through 45 App Store Awards finalists for 2025? Do you really want to do that?
No. I mean, it's something. There's not a whole lot to talk about this. There's like 2 really good, juicy stories, and then the rest is. Now we can enjoy the extended mix of the Vision Pro theme.
Here are
released from Paisley Studios.
Here are the MacBreak Weekly cupcakes that Andrew has. You had the same idea with the 1,000. Oh, I have to put it up on the screen. 1,000 candles. Although when I went to the store to get the candles, I could get all the numbers, but the one. One was very popular, and then I realized,
what is this? I was in the exact same situation where, like, I was at like a really good party store in Brookline that has nothing. It wasn't like one of these. Like, I went to the supermarket aisle, or I went to. It was. They had like 18 different kinds of like number sets, and almost none of them had a 1 left over. How many people are 1 years old, or 10 years old, or 100 years old?
I guess it's very popular.
I'm happy.
So Sweet 16.
Yep.
Yeah. 10, 11, 12.
Okay, that's true. Teenage.
21.
13, 14, 15, 16.
I'm thinking in binary.
17,
so
18. Anyway, happy birthday to us.
Yes.
And I guess that we'll just leave it at there. I don't usually like to celebrate these milestones, but
1,000. I had a friend who had his 1,000th episode of his podcast this year. And like, okay. First off, most podcasts, people say, I would like to do a podcast, and they do like 3 episodes.
Right.
And then they post a 4th episode that's like, I'm sorry, I've been delayed, but the next episode will come soon. And then there's never another episode, right? So just sticking to it long enough to get, any kind of run is impressive. And to reach 1,000, I think that's when I certainly stand up and I feel like I got to stand up and clap when you get there, because that is that's a lot. Like, if it's a weekly show, right, you can do the math. If that's a weekly show, that is almost 20 years.
Almost.
That's a commitment.
It helps, though, when you pick a topic where there's going to be, by definition, new topics every single week.
Yeah.
As opposed to, hey, welcome to the chair refurnishing podcast. Every week
we have a few of those. I just have to point out, Annie, that it was survival of the fittest. We had quite a few shows that did not make it to 100, let alone 1,000.
Sure. Most don't. Most absolutely don't. I'm reminded that we used to get these emails and even letters back in the day at Macworld that were like, why don't you do more about beginner stuff? We want to know more about beginner stuff. What we always would say is, everybody's a beginner at a different time, and then you read enough articles about being a beginner, and you don't want to read those articles anymore because you're not a beginner anymore. It's like, it's a bad idea. There's no way to replicate that over time, because if you're always just focused on beginners, you will lose every reader after 3 months or something.
It's ironic,
like that.
because
so you got to have something where things are happening. And I mean, this is the kind of show where you're not going to dip back into the archive and listen to episode 324, and that's okay. But it means that we've got that forward momentum. I think that's really good.
I'm sorry, I'm eating cake.
Yeah.
All right.
Making your most out of Rosetta. I mean,
we're talking about it's only been about 20 years of podcasting, right? So it's only really now that a weekly podcast it would even be possible to hit 1,000 episodes, which is I think why they're starting to happen.
Yeah, it's like you have to if you start now, you're pretty much behind the 8 ball. You really got to get on the horse to catch up.
I'd say 2 a day. Get there really fast. If you need to get there,
it'll take you a couple of years
and
1 a day.
There are some content creators that feel like they have to be that way, like on TikTok, saying, "Oh my god, I posted my morning video, but what's my early afternoon?"
It's a good way to
video?
kill yourself fast, boy. Just wear yourself out. We did. Patrick Delahanty, our CTO, says we do have some shows that didn't even make it to 10, including Read It Up. You remember that? It was a good name. I feel like I come up with good names. Read It Up was all about, we read it on Reddit, and it was good. Who were the hosts? Was it Sarah? And OMG Chat, I think, hosted that with Sarah. But, it didn't turn out. I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was a great show. Only made it to 9. Wow.
Well, a good artist knows when to lay down its tools, when another brushstroke would be vulgar. And so you finished it.
The last thing they did was the Ice Bucket Challenge and Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Wow, that takes it back.
2014, the last episode. And I don't even know who Simon Pegg is. So,
Simon Pegg, of course.
Who's Simon
British
Pegg?
Comedian.
Oh, yeah, he did those movies,
Spaced,
right?
And he was Scotty in Star Trek, and he did the Cornetto trilogy. Yeah,
the Cornetto trilogy. That's right.
Yeah, Hot Fuzz
I never knew why it was
Dawn
named
of
the
Dead.
Cornetto.
Oh, because the Cornetto is an ice cream in the UK, and somebody's eating a Cornetto in each of the 3 movies.
There are 3 different colors / flavors of Cornetto, and so in Shaun of the Dead, there's someone who's eating one kind. In the second one, there's Hot Fuzz. There's the second kind, and in the End of the World, is that what they call it? Yep. It's the third kind. So it's like, but again, they box themselves in because unless they come up, I don't know if there's a 4th kind of Cornetto, because otherwise they don't have an ability to do.
It's all in the Cornetto company at this point. The green light belongs to them. Yeah. You know what? So there's a lot of stories, and there are 45 App Store Awards finalists, which we'll probably get to a few of those in a little bit.
To be clear, it's literally Apple in Apple's App Store using its marketing team to promote apps in its App Store. And I'm very happy for the independent developers who've gotten a little bit of Apple's marketing energy put behind their apps. That's great. But also, just to be clear, this is the thing that, I'm happy for them, but also it is just kind of an Apple marketing exercise.
They should have learned from the Academy Awards that, you dilute it. When there were, 4 Best Movie nominees, 5, that was good. When there were, I don't know how many there are now, 20. Yeah. It takes away 45 finalists is a lot of finalists.
Well, again, it's like as Jason said, it's promotional. It's not like as much as you might lobby, as much as you might try to be like the Hollywood Foreign Press Organization and host dinners and give voters Rolex watches. They're not going to choose one of the ice apps, the ice spotting apps, as one of the.
No, I think that's pretty.
Even
clear
though I would say it's one of the most significant and most interesting
topical
apps of the year.
Yeah,
it would be
topical.
No, we were wondering: is there an app that we could pick instead of the Ice Watch app that helps people understand how Apple Intelligence works?
I'll give you
how about that for hot?
I'll give you a couple of just dip your toe in. Mac Game of the Year finalists: Assassin's Creed Shadows, Cyberpunk. These are 4-year-old PC titles.
Welcome to Mac.
Cyberpunk 2077. And Neva, which I don't think is probably on Windows, for depicting an emotionally moving tale enhanced with striking imagery. Arcade game. Oh, they have several game categories. Okay, fine. Vision Pro. Hey, we could do a Vision Pro segment out of this. What do you see? What do you know? It's time to talk the Vision Pro.
The rare acapella version.
Do it yourself version. Camo Studio.
Yeah.
Do they have that for Vision Pro?
Camo Studio, so you can record what is it? You can record stuff inside of Vision Pro, I think is what that one is.
I think stream it.
Stream it. Yeah. And then the other 2 we've actually talked about, Export POV.
DJ, the camera soldier. We did talk about that. That was cool.
That was a really cool. I met the people who did that. That's a really cool multimedia thing. Reminded me of kind of like a multimedia CD-ROM where there's immersive video and you're on the Omaha Beach and it's pretty cool. Export POV is if you want to have kind of like various nature things all over the world. These people have just gone and captured immersive video video everywhere.
Nice.
James was on one of our shows, and he's been shooting this stuff since long before the immersive camera. He's been shooting with the Canon R5 for quite some time, so it's a lot of really
This is the promise of being early on a platform like this: is you stand out because there's not a lot of
not a lot there.
Vision Pro Game of the Year finalist: Fishing Haven, Gears and Goo.
Gears and Goo is a tower defense game that I have to say the reason you pick it is it shows off the technical like the lighting.
I played Goo. It's Goo, right? It's just Goo in a.
Well, so it's tower defense, and you put it on basically on a table or whatever, and you can actually watch all the things.
Oh, that's neat.
And objects, objects like that. And there's so few games that do this on Vision Pro. But when it's like their board game does this too. The objects really do blend in with the scenery, and they look real.
That's pretty cool.
You basically get a tower defense game going on your dining room table. It's a fun effect, and
actually
it's
love
pretty
to
well done.
Do Kingdom Rush in VR would be kind of fun.
Yeah. So this is kind of like that. Gears and Goo. It's cute.
Okay.
And it looks good.
Good on you.
I get why they picked it.
Good on you, gentlemen. And then finally, Porta Newbie. Immersive puzzles. Every time I look at stuff like this, I feel like I know I would be nauseated within minutes. I feel like maybe it's the cake. It's the cake. It's the cake. Did you eat the cupcakes, Andy, before you?
Again, I had a cupcake for breakfast. I considered having a cupcake for lunch.
That's cupcake for dinner.
Kind of like was one of those diet drinks. Have a shake for breakfast, another for lunch, and then a sensible dinner. No, I decided that perhaps the point of having a half dozen. Actually, this was also a death by chocolate cupcake, by the way. So yes, we're definitely.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that was a genre of cake.
MacBreak Weekly.
We have definitely chosen our poison well.
Yeah. The name got me. Lisa said, "What kind of cake did you get?" And I said, "I don't know. It's some sort of murder cake."
Murder cake.
Murder cake.
Fugu cake. What is that?
How could blowfish hurt you? Anyway, congratulations to all 45.
Now you see. Now you know. We're done talking the Vision Pro. Unplugged.
Woo, Vision Pro. Unplugged.
I think there was other things to talk about with the Vision Pro, though. I don't know if we did a whole Vision Pro.
We could do two in one day.
All right. No,
we'll bring it back out. But I just didn't want to go too far with the parentheses open there.
I just want to point out that Andy put that story at the bottom of his list of stories. I put it at the top.
Amazing.
Andy was right.
I'm
Thank
saying,
you, Lisa.
I'm saying that I was looking at the rundown and thinking that we might just need to have something else here just in case.
Okay, I'll give you some other stories that I thought were big, really big. This comes from our friend Mark Gurman, the Mark Gurman Review of the Week. He says that Apple's going to do a TikTok thing with iOS 27. It's going to be a Snow Leopard.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of people saying, yeah, good thinking. Maybe they'll even do that with Tahoe, you think?
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Because I've been hearing a lot more people complaining about the quality of Mac software, OS software just going down, of just encountering bugs that are just surprisingly dumb for what they were experiencing, what they were looking forward to for the Mac experience. I myself, when I upgraded to Tahoe, it was like, okay, the following 4 things are not working, and it doesn't seem like something that Spotlight should not be a problem. Spotlight is the one of the things where they say, I don't care if I'm an outlier. It seems as though that's the sort of thing that should definitely be working, particularly if one of the big Spotlight features of the OS is Spotlight. And so if the Apple sort of on the down low said that once every 2 years, we are just going to focus on fit and finish. We are obviously going to keep it up to date, but we're not going to try to razzle dazzle you in an even numbered year. We are going to razzle dazzle you with the fact that I upgraded and I don't want to fly up to Cupertino with a banana cream pie on the hopes that maybe I'll bump into Tim Cook or somebody and I can basically throw a pie at that person's face.
Yeah, I think the 26 updates were really ambitious if you consider the features plus you throw in the design. And taking a year after that, also they've got this Apple Intelligence thing that they're trying to figure out, right? So like saying we're going to take it light on the OS stuff and try to tune it up and get it really nice and functional. As Mark points out, like Snow Leopard and Mountain Lion both actually did have lots of new features, but the goal was to tighten things up and make features work better. And sometimes that led to new features among those features, but the goal was to tighten things up. And what Mark says here is they're going to tighten things up across the OSs in 27. And then also they're going to do whatever they're going to do with Apple Intelligence. That's going to be the other focus. And that makes sense, right? Like that's a thing that's going to probably take a lot of their attention. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned Spotlight. That's a great example. Spotlight in Tahoe is great. They added a whole bunch of stuff. It's the biggest update to Spotlight since Spotlight started 20 years ago. However, there are also lots of bugs. So this is how that goes. So fixing those bugs would be really nice because those features are great. But if some people just like have stoplights stop working,
just with my messages, I type someone's name and trying to find some. I try to find somebody's name and I go, oh, you can't find it. So then I put plus and I put their name in and they go, oh, I found this whole conversation you were just having with them. And you're like, there are very few features that are new that I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I can't believe I would live without this. I would have been much happier with Apple going much slower along. They can rebuild the interface, but I think that the aggressive nature of the last couple OSs, I think has kind of undermined some trust where you just go, well, I don't know if I really want to upgrade, as much as it used to be. And I think that I don't think Apple has to keep up with the Joneses. I don't think that they have to have all these new features. I think that they have some new features, keep on moving forward. But I think that most users, I think the average Apple user just wants it to work.
Yeah.
And
more important than anything else.
It's way more important for things just keep on like being bulletproof is way more important to the average Apple user.
I agree.
Than being new and innovative. Like I just think that they just want it to I want it to be invisible and you can keep on adding things, but when you add a whole bunch of things, that means I have to learn a bunch of new things. And right now in this operating system, it's close to the most broken operating system I think I've worked in since I can remember.
And it's worse for us because we're the people in our lives complain to. They don't call Tim Cook. They call Alex Lindsay. Say, Alex, this phone's not working. What do I do?
Yeah, exactly. And so there's just a lot of
we bear the brunt.
And there are things that are cool, but I feel like, and again, I feel like Apple could go half the speed with features right now, and their users would actually be happier. I just feel like there's a lot of teams.
I agree. 100%.
They're just a little bit more. I don't know. I feel like release discipline would be good.
Yeah, it was particularly harsh this time because the kind of bugs are like the kind of things that actually kind of infuriate me, because launching apps via Spotlight is something that's just second nature by this point. And when I hit Command Spacebar BB and I don't see BB Edit, it says, oh, well, here is the definite. BB Edit is a third-party application created by Barebones Software. Like, no, that's not what it. Here is a mention of BB Edit in your email. No, Spotlight, try again. And yeah, that's. I know. It's as Jason said, it was a big update. It was a big update.
Bug. I know exactly what's causing that bug.
Exactly.
It has to do with the Spotlight indexers, and that sometimes you have a preference of what you want to see in Spotlight, and if you turn off Show Me Apps, or it gets turned off by accident, then the apps disappear. Which is it's bad. It's a bug. I think the new Spotlight features, I think they're actually very, very good. But this is the thing. I don't know what is going on. There's a whole public beta cycle. I didn't have any of these problems in the public beta, so it's surprising that it has bit as many people as it has afterward, which says to me, I guess the public beta is not doing its job, and the amount of testing that Apple is doing of these features is not an appropriate level. If there are things, but I will say this: that wasn't broken during the betas. This is a bug that happens in certain circumstances that should have been caught. But what it isn't is an example of Apple building something that's broken and shipping it, because it has worked for me. I have some issues where Spotlight sometimes does stop working, but throughout the summer, I didn't encounter any of the bugs that I've seen people report, or if I did, a restart fixed it, which again, that's a problem, but it's a weird problem. It's not necessarily about Apple's ambition as much as it is that they don't seem to be backstopping it with enough testing to stop this stuff before they ship it, right? Like, I think that's the issue here, is that they these things are widespread enough that they should have been caught in the beta process. And either they weren't, or they were and they didn't care and they shipped it. And either way, it's bad.
Although I will say, I was today years old that when I found out that I could just turn stuff off on Spotlight and just leave only applications on, because the only thing I use Spotlight for is applications. I was like, I can turn these. Like when Jason said that, I was like, I can turn these off.
And there's a whole because there's multiple indexes.
No, I was like, I just turned everything off except for applications, because the only thing I use Spotlight for is applications. And so I use Find for the other stuff because I need to have a more complicated search. But yeah, you can turn off files and folders and menu items and results from the clipboard and all of those things. And this is the thing, Alex. So just apps.
It's great, but like sometimes what happens is you don't even remember 3 years ago you turned off one of those things, and then the update happens and they change the behavior of what happens to Spotlight based on those settings, and you're like, wait a second, where did this thing go? And it turns out it's because they weren't previously doing the same behavior with that setting set the way it was that they are now. And I've heard that from a bunch of people. It's like, why can't I launch Maps from Spotlight? And the answer was because 2 years ago you turned off the show data from Maps option in the Spotlight settings because you didn't want to see map suggestions, but now it's not going to show you the Maps app. It's like and that's the kind of, you have a 20-year-old piece of software and you have a lot of unintended consequences. And I just bring it back to, with all the public beta going on, did nobody see this, or did it get reported and not fixed? Is Apple's testing not careful enough for stuff like this? Because clearly lots of people are having Spotlight issues. That's a great example where it's not that it didn't work. It's that obviously it was much less reliable than Apple thought, but like, shouldn't that have been caught in the summer?
Yeah, and there are a lot of things that we were talking earlier about, like we don't in general spend a lot of time talking about like fundamental stuff and basic stuff, but there are a lot of basics that like even people like us, we tend to forget. And like one of the banes of my existence over the past couple of years has been like that horrifying dark forest gap between getting the notification on your Mac that says that, hey, a new update is available. Would you like to install it now or install it tonight or remind you later? And because even though, like, look, I don't have enough time. I'm so busy right now. I don't have time to basically shut down my entire workspace, close down all my documents and everything like that, and basically put bookmarks everywhere so I can get started up again. I just don't have time right now. And so we delay like days and days and days, but you forget that it's actually still doing things in the background to prepare for the update. Like it's doing things to the operating system that boots up the operating system and handles this sort of stuff. And suddenly a day comes by and, oh, I can't sync anything to my iPhone or to my iPad because now USB is messed up because that's being controlled by this underlying operating system that's being kind of screwed up a little bit. And you're sort of like feeling your arm being twisted. Whereas like if I had remembered that I must have learned that like a number of years ago and then I quickly forgot it. But the hate and the disappointment stuck by because those things are eternal. And so the thing is, we could all use a refresher course on what happens during updates. And just because we are used to the idea of having smooth updates from Apple doesn't mean that they're going to be smooth. And Alex kind of has like the right idea, which is I'm just going to hang by. And if I have a working operating system, I'm not going to change that until I have a good reason to change that. And you can take that too far, but that's a thing that I tend to forget.
Yeah, I mean, the main computer that I'm like interacting with people, I'm a couple versions behind Sonoma or whatever, and then my M3 Ultra is on Tahoe, so I get to see Tahoe every once in a while, you know. And I think with my phone, I hesitate to complain about my phone because I know it's on a beta, so I never know what's working and what's not working. But I can say that I'm on the beta and I force restart messages once a day, at least, because the interface, the new Aqua interface or whatever is sitting over. It gets stuck where I can't get to the bottom of the messages, or I can't type, or it stops seeing the keyboard, and the only way out is to restart it again.
Classic.
Just force restart and open up. And here's the worst part is I've gotten really good at it. Like it doesn't even, it barely bothers me now because I go, oh, it's stuck. And I go restart and I open it up again and I'm right back to where I was and I go back to what I was doing.
It's kind of like when you bump your elbow on a corner, like at work, so many times that there's a callus there, and you'll no longer feel the pain.
Yeah. It's like it's like not even bother. It bothered the first couple times. There was like a lot of shaking the phone and trying to figure out why I couldn't do it. And now, weeks into this, this one problem that I'm having, which is again the interface just gets stuck. I can't get to it. I've gotten so good at fixing it. It takes it's offset of a second or two. But I have friends. Someone else is going to run into that and go, oh. And I think that again, I think less features working better would be huge improvement.
I think is Apple bad at software?
I think
No.
Well, I think Apple is worse at software than they are at hardware for sure. I think their hardware is so good now that it really shows you. I said this on our Discord. I think Apple is trying to do software at a level that literally nobody else is. They have so many different OSs supporting so many different platforms. And I know that they all sort of have common baseline things. That's one of the reasons they do that they have similar apps or the same app running across platforms, that they're all on Darwin. They're basically all on this OS 10, iOS sublayer that is shared in common, is because one company has to maintain a mobile OS, a desktop OS, a tablet OS, a TV box OS, a VR OS, a watch OS. Like, they've got all of these different operating systems. I think part of it is hiring. They don't hire enough people. They are very limited with what they do, the way that they're structured, where they don't have lots of silos. They've got everybody kind of cross training, makes it hard for them to do more of it. I think the complexity is really ramped up, but I'd say also that some of it is the way they've defined their job. Like, everything we're talking about here is exacerbated by the fact that they have to do a major update every fall for the iPhone. And so then everything gets updated then, because you can't have all your different OSs having different, like if you update messages, but it's only on the iPhone and the Mac comes 6 months later and those features don't work in the meantime across your platform, that's not great. So they want to do them all at once, but then every year is a brutal schedule. And then this year they set themselves a higher bar, which is because of what happened last year. They wanted to ship everything they announced at WWDC. And I think they probably shipped some of that stuff a little earlier than they should have, because they set these goals for themselves. So I think part of it is the reason we talk about maybe taking a year off and having a light update is because the 1 year cycle is relentless. And I think it would be much healthier if they spread the features out over 2 years. And when they drop features in, I would even not drop all the features and then spend 2 years fixing them. I would rather they just sort of be more lightly spread out, like Alex says, over a couple of years, with enough time for them to make them, not shipping them wincing and knowing that bugs are going to hit people, but instead feeling like they're more rock solid before they actually ship them.
And sometimes I wonder, at least on the mobile platforms, whether there is a certain Gen Alpha pressure that Apple has related to. I know this sounds crazy, but it is. They have such a lock on kids under 18 years old right now that the question is, on the Gen Alpha, Gen Z, world, are they trying to make sure that they have all the cool little features that they could have somewhere else, and making sure that they stay happy, because it's such a lock into the future, when you have 85% of the market share in one vertical that is. If they stay there long enough, they're not going to go anywhere. And so I wonder whether that has some pressure on the mobile devices, where the mobile devices seem to be the least stable and the most number of features. And I don't know if that's true or not, because I think that, again, I feel like I'm an average Apple user where I just don't need, there's very few things, again, that I feel like I need that that haven't been here for 2 years, that I needed, like that. Oh my goodness, I was waiting for this thing. I mean, having a couple new things every time would be enough for me, but I don't know whether that's maybe internal pressures that we don't know. But I also think that the siloing that Apple has sometimes is the problem. I mean, you have a bunch of apps, you look at like USDZ or whatever. I've been dealing with USDZ this week. It's managed completely differently in every place that it occurs. Just how you rotate an object is different in Preview than it is in Keynote, as it is in Converter. And this is and so there's different versions of those things, and none of them all. Preview works the best, probably because it's the most public facing one. But those are the challenges, I think, that Apple has to do with is lots of different teams doing it different ways. I mean, and figuring out. It feels like you want to get everybody into the room and say, what are the best practices between all of these, and unify it.
It's just incredibly ambitious. I mean, that's the thing, and it's hard, and they struggle, and they don't like to be seen as struggling. But I think that is part of the problem, is that leads them to hold themselves to these timelines, and they're embarrassed when they're seen as struggling, even though they're making it. And just they're doing a hard thing. But it is hard to do, and that it's okay. I agree with you, Alex. I don't want them to lose ambition, but I do think that sometimes they pour their hearts into these features that add complexity when no complexity is being asked. Like when they're like a thing, because if you add a complex feature, nobody will use it on the iPhone, right? Like nobody will ever find it other than us nerds. No one will ever find it, and maybe that's okay. But like those are the features that like. Did we need a lock screen with like 15 different options of shuffling photos? And it's a cool feature, but like, how many people even know that it's there? I think they set the bar for themselves high, and then they have a hard time clearing it. Yeah. I think they're their own worst enemy.
And one of the problems is, I mean, it's easy for us to say, oh, wouldn't it be great if they did like a TikTok release and a big one on even years and a maintenance fit and finish one in the other years. The problem is that this is like a huge ship that doesn't respond very quickly to steering adjustments. And every year they do the features that they're capable of doing that year, and the features that they are required to do that year because of hardware that's coming out, or because of a project that they need to be able to release a year away from that. So we are right to expect better performance and more stability in major operating system releases, at least with the 0.1 release. But nonetheless, we do have to expect that there's a lot that they got to do, and sometimes a broken light bulb just is not going to get changed, because at some point they have to change this filters elsewhere in the bowels of the ship, and that's way more important, even though you never see it or deal with it.
We're doing our 1000th episode of MacBreak Weekly, and for the 1000th time, we're discussing whether Apple's any good at software.
Amazing.
And there is some consistency in the product, and I'm very proud of that.
It's all content, baby.
Alex Lindsay is here. Andy Anako, Jason Snell, we're glad you're here too for episode 1000. We'll have more in just a little bit, but right now, a word from our sponsor, ThreatLocker. Man, I keep reading about massive security issues all over the place. There was just a big hack, supply chain hack on NPM, and people who use the Node package manager or your JavaScript are, like going, well, oh my God, what do I do? There's a solution. There really is. There's a way out. Ransomware is just killing businesses worldwide. And it comes in a variety of ways: phishing emails, infected downloads through NPM. For instance, malicious websites, RDP exploits. Don't be the next victim. ThreatLocker's zero trust platform, and this is the key, zero trust. 3 little words that make all the difference. It takes a proactive, here they come, deny by default approach. That means every action is blocked unless it's explicitly authorized. That means that accidental package you downloaded on NPM cannot do its job because it's not been authorized. It protects you from both known and unknown threats, protects you from supply chain attacks. And that's why companies that can't afford even a minute of downtime trust ThreatLocker. JetBlue uses ThreatLocker. The Port of Vancouver uses ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker shields you from zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks while providing complete audit trails for compliance. ThreatLocker's innovative ring fencing technology, that's what they call their zero trust, their ring fencing technology isolates critical applications from weaponization. It stops ransomware cold. It also limits lateral movement. So even if somebody gets into your network, and that's the whole idea of zero trust, is never assume just because somebody's in your network that they are trustworthy. It limits lateral movement within your network. They're in there, but they can't do anything. ThreatLocker works across all industries, supports Mac environments as well as PCs. They've got a great 24/7 US-based support team ready to help you. And it's kind of a side effect of this great ring fencing technology. You get comprehensive visibility and control. You know exactly who's doing what, when, and where. Mark Tolson, IT director for the city of Champaign, Illinois. Another, city governments and hospitals and schools are just prime targets for ransomware, because ransomware people think, well, they've got insurance. They're going to have money. They're going to pay up. Mark Tolson is the IT director for the city of Champaign, Illinois. He said, we're not going to pay up. We're going to get ThreatLocker. He says, quote, ThreatLocker provides that extra key to block anomalies that nothing else can do. If bad actors got in and tried to execute something, I take comfort knowing that ThreatLocker will stop that. Mark didn't wake up this morning and see headlines and went, oh no, I got to get into work. Mark knew he was safe. Stop worrying about cyber threats. Get unprecedented protection quickly, easily, and cost-effectively with ThreatLocker. Visit threatlocker.com/twit to get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance. That's threatlocker.com/twit. When Shai Hulud comes calling, you can say, hey, don't worry, we got ThreatLocker. Threatlocker.com/twit. I'm sure Steve will be talking about that, by the way, on Security Now right after this show. Another big exploit. Man, it's just a mess out there. Okay. Hey, I thought this was interesting news. How about this one? Jony Ive and Sam Altman of OpenAI were on stage talking to Steve Jobs' widow. She runs the Emerson Collective, and interviewed the two of them for their Emerson Collective demo day. And they said I liked what they said. I'm an AI fan, and I'm very interested. We had heard that OpenAI had hired the former Apple designer Jony Ive to do something, an AI device of some kind. Jony said he thinks that it will be available sometime even less than 2 years from now. Okay, well, don't get your hopes up too high.
I think the challenge is that Jony Ive is a designer, but he doesn't manage the logistics of building a product.
Right.
And I think that's going to be what is really
bit him in the butt before, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Sam Altman said that Ive's design is elegantly simple with a touch of whimsy.
Yeah, like butterfly keys.
Whimsy. That could be difficult to build in.
I mean, I think the problem is that when I feel like when Jony Ive is brilliant, but when he had a lot of control over the Apple product line, I do not think it was a positive effect. And I think that the problem is that he's going to have a lot of control here because he's the guy that came from Apple, and OpenAI is going to be happy to be there, and they're not a hardware company. And I think that they're going to have a hard time building a product that is usable. Like that's my fundamentally. I just think they're going to have a hard time building one that works, that can be produced, that's going to actually be usable.
We've seen a lot of companies fail in this space trying to make the pin. Remember that the thing that projected on your hand. I've worn many a pendant. I've worn many glasses. It's hard. But it's an interest. Look, I'm going to withhold judgment. Yeah. We'll find out. Jony said, "I love solutions that teeter on appearing almost naive in their simplicity. I also love incredibly intelligent, sophisticated products that you want to touch and you feel no intimidation and you want to use almost carelessly, that you use them almost without thought, that they're just tools." Sam Altman jumped in to add, according to Axios, "I hope that when people see it, they say, that's it." And I've promised, yeah, they will. So there's my little dramatic reading of the dialogue.
Bring the spirit of sitting in the most beautiful cabin by a lake and in the mountains and just sort of enjoying the peace and calm. And I understand this is the sort of stuff that the only stuff you can say about a product that's not going to be released for 2 years that you really can't say that much about. And you really have to create a word picture. You have to create a theater of the air around this product. But it does sound a little bit silly.
Jony
it's fine in context. But
trying to make something you want to eat. He says, there was an earlier prototype we were quite excited about, but I did not have any feeling of, I want to pick up that thing and take a bite out of it. And then finally, we got there all of a sudden. So they're making prototypes. And that makes sense. Look, he says, imagine, what does it mean, he says, that this thing is going to be able to know everything you've ever thought, read, or said. And finally, we have the first prototypes.
It's falling into all the traps that you don't want to see about anything AI that's being promised. It's like they are really, really going for the long bomb here.
Well, they always have. They always have.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it is again when you get this kind of a scale of interest involved, you do have to like dream big. But it's amazing to think about like trying to plan the release of an AI powered product 2 years in the future when everything is evolving so quickly. And if not for the fact that this was a partnership with OpenAI, where they actually can co-develop a piece of hardware to work with a specific model that they must be developing to work alongside it, as opposed to Gemini 5 running on whatever phone is available 2 years from now. It's hard to imagine them understanding what people want out of that kind of a device without actually Google Glassing it. We're going to just release this thing and see how people interact with it and see how people use it, and we're just going to keep adjusting our target as we see like where the darts are actually landing. It seems like the only way to actually do it is to let the public tell you what they actually want. This is not. I know it's a famous saying of Henry Ford and that from Henry Ford and Steve Jobs used to quote all the time. Well, if I relied on if I built only what people told me to build, I'd be building a mechanical horse instead of a car. And there is a lot of truth to that, but at some point you can't just simply say, here is where the puck is. I'm going to be there 2 years in the future, and I'm hoping that people are going to be there at the puck where I intended for it to be in 2 years' time.
True, but if you don't start thinking about it now, you won't be there in 2 years either. So it's appropriate to start thinking about it.
No,
right?
of course, of course. But I'm just saying it's hard to imagine deciding right now what something's going to be 2 years from now with a technology that's
how
so
long
much
did the
in flux.
iPhone take to develop?
Was it 6 years?
Yeah, I think it was 5 or 6 years.
So it takes a while,
iPad, right?
But they had a phone. Like they knew what a phone was, and they knew here's at least 60% of what this device needs to do, and we're going to add. We're also going to take the 20% of what smartphones do on top of that. We're going to make that better, and then we're going to bring maybe 20% of our own stuff brand new to this platform. Whereas it's like if it is not that it is exactly this, but if it is something like a fountain in the form factor of a fountain pen that you simply carry in your pocket, how are you going to teach people that they want to carry this microphone, camera, smart, absorbing everything, single thing that you say, think, and observe all day long? Are they going to want that, or are they going to want the modality of I am explicitly taking my phone out, I'm explicitly making a request of this phone, and then I'm explicitly going to turn the phone off?
No, that's
and put it
very
back in my
1980s. You're very ancient history.
No,
so this is the world that they're anticipating, and they may be wrong. But the world they're anticipating is a world filled with intelligences all around you. You are but one more intelligence in a group of intelligence, which you have marshaled to your advantage, but you need an interface to it. And to assume that it's going to be something that you swipe or type on even speak to is perhaps a box you don't want to live in. Let's think out of the box. And I'm glad it's Jony Ive. I agree. It's very speculative, but now's the time to do it, and I doubt Johnny's the only guy thinking about it.
I agree with you in the sense that we're going to be that tapping actual physical buttons and that interacting with an actual interface of some kind is not going to go away, but it's going to be simply another way of interacting with software. And that in a couple of years, we're going to be interacting with agentic software that simply understands what we want to do, and it has access to the right APIs to make that happen. All I'm saying
is we're very close to that now.
It kind of sucks right now, but it's kind of okay.
Gemini 3, pretty mind-blowing. I think we're very close to it. We're making progress much faster than anybody anticipated. This week alone, Anthropic released a new model. Google released a new model, both of which are very close to human IQ intelligence, or better than human IQ intelligence. We're very close to this. The thing is, it's happening fast. If I were Sam Altman and Jony Ive, I'd be doing exactly what they're doing. You've got to start to think about what will the interface be. They may get it wrong. It may be another butterfly keyboard. I think
the issue is that I think that what made Jony Ive, like sometimes you see like a lead singer for a band, David Lee Roth really thought he was going to do great after.
Right.
And
you're saying Jony Ive has lead singer disease. Is that what you're saying?
I just think he's an incredible designer, but I think there was a tension between him and Steve Jobs that made the magic. And I don't think we saw a lot of magic after he and Steve Jobs weren't collaborating, and I think that's the hard part there. And I also think that I think there's also an issue of ecosystem trust. That are we going to trust ChatGPT? I think this is Apple's real advantage in this area, is that the only company I think right now that I would trust with doing this kind of thing would probably be on device with Apple, as opposed to a cloud-based whatever, and so I think that's going to be the challenge. Is, are people really going to want something that just seeing everything that they're doing and being around all the things that they're doing and seeing all the conversations that they're having? I don't know if people are ready for that. I don't know if they really want that. I know I don't. I'm pretty forward thinking, but I'm like,
it'll be okay if it'll be okay if OpenAI's existing customers feel that way. They're building one hell of a relationship and one hell of a user base. Like my AI of choice is Gemini, partly because I like Google's approach to AI as an assistant, as opposed to a push this button, expected to do your homework for you. On and on and on. And also because I already have invested a whole bunch of trust with Google for my personal information. So that's already spent money, so to speak. But as much as I like Gemini, oh my God, OpenAI, ChatGPT has 3 times the number of monthly users. And that's a huge step up. Yeah, so when they do come up with their magical device in a couple of years, they're going to have people who already have that amount of trust in OpenAI, who have already been sharing their deepest, darkest secrets with it, and like a friend or therapist or a coworker. So that's going to be an advantage that Apple may or may not be able to counter.
Well, it should be a user interface guru, though, that does the design, right? It's got to be somebody who spends time thinking about how humans interact with technology. Exactly
what Jony Ive isn't, because he's not a human interface designer. He's a hardware designer. And this product, I'm sorry, but show me how this isn't just the Humane Pin with better funding. Yeah. Because the Humane Pin, the entire premise of it was, we don't know. But again, I'm not going to play the game of we don't know because Sam Altman and Jony Ive are brilliant, right? I'm not going to play that game because they're not going to invent another sense. They're not going to invent another limb. Our human bodies are what they are. Our human minds are what they are. And that means first off, our society is what it is. We're not going to do everything by voice interface because you're talking out loud in public. So a lot of people aren't going to want to do that. So now what do you need? You need maybe a screen you can tap on quietly. Oh, gee, well, we have hardware that fits these modes. We have things you can stick in your ears that have microphones. We have things that have screens on them that you can tap that are connected to the network at a high speed in a way that a small device wouldn't. So now what are they doing? I know that their snake oil here is, well, we're just going to do something different, but in the end, it sure feels to me like they're going to do a thing that's like a phone, or a thing that's like AirPods, or the thing that's like a watch, or a thing that's like an AI pin, because those are the modes that exist. And I don't believe they're going to invent a new mode. I just don't. I think this is people with lots of money who have a really high opinion of themselves, who've bought into the fact that AI is about to just go super intelligent, which I also do not believe, but their job is to believe it because all of their money is based on that premise. And again, show me how this is not a well-funded AI pin. I just don't believe it.
Or a plan to dilute some of the early
or a weird Android phone.
And so
it would be different if Sam Altman hadn't spent so much time hyping us up with
it's a weird stuff.
Quiet.
I feel like, and again, I think that I do think that the whatever form the glasses take that Apple's doing or Meta's taking, that one feels way more real, but really, really hard, to do well, than some kind of pin. I'm not, I'm not buying it. And
what about telepathic?
I don't think people are going to want that. I just don't think there's no way that
I guarantee you they're in the labs working on that.
Oh, no,
I look forward to them inventing a new
Musk
color
is working
too.
on it right now. He's talked about it, and he's got people plugging into their brain, and they got people looking at that stuff. I would never I mean, and
well, it might just be a hat.
I know I would never put.
It all comes back to smart hats, Leo.
It might be a smart hat. I'm not kidding.
It's one thing to be able to control. I mean, the level of intrusiveness to that to me is so deep.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm not going to have them drill a hole in my skull.
No, I'm not talking.
I'm
talking about the level of something trying to read what I'm thinking. I am not interested. Like I'm not interested in playing. Like I would be not okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's one thing to. We have enough trouble getting people to not send the wrong emails to each other or text to each other while they're under some kind of legal whatever, let alone they wear a hat that is just sucking up all that information. Like that's a
I mean my central thing is like I'm kind of with Jason here. It's like you just have to sort of turn off like every single hypey thing you hear about AI. The question that my test is against any sort of device like this is that explain to me how this is going to be any better than a $24 Bluetooth earbud in my ear and simply talking to the AI of my choice inside.
That was the form factor for the movie Her, right?
Yeah,
that worked pretty well.
And actually remember that one of the biggest technical advances was a safety pin in his pocket, so that to make the pocket shorter, so that the camera part of the phone could stick out of the pocket. Again, that's exactly what I keep thinking about. To explain to me how this is anything that you're going to be shipping is going to be better than a Bluetooth earbud and some sort of wireless Wi-Fi direct sort of camera. I would even better like have a magnetic pin that I can simply take off when it's inappropriate and simply put it in my pocket when I don't want anything to when it's absolutely inappropriate to have a working camera like pointing at what I'm looking at. So I'm saying that's absolutely the perfect form factor for anything. I'm just saying that when you try to sell me on the idea of, hey, we have this this completely new form factor for this that'll create this brand new paradigm for whatever, I'm saying, okay, are you explaining to me that it just simply takes audio and takes video? And then so explain to me why I want a $600 thing in my pocket as opposed to a $50 thing that I simply keep recharged and connect to my phone and work on an AI platform of my choice that actually does all the compute on the phone.
Because you I was acting this way about the Vision Pro, but I think you guys lack imagination. I think that there's all sorts of possibilities.
I think the
next 10 years are going to be bizarro worlds.
They're going to be weird, but these are guys. These are not. I mean, sorry.
Maybe they're not the guys.
OpenAI should not be making hardware, like consumer hardware. It's stupid. It's a waste of money and a waste of time. I think it's that Sam Altman fancies himself a little Steve Jobs, and he's got a pet Jony Ive, and he's got all the money to why not do it? But like their challenge is, what's their business model? How are they going to integrate ads in a consumer product in order to make it work? They're losing money at a rapid pace with the promise that they will eventually figure it out and make lots of money. And like, good luck. They may very well do that. Their product is really interesting, but like, this hardware thing is a distraction, and I mean it in both ways. They are distracted from doing what they should be focusing on, and it's here to distract us.
Ah, interesting. It's also here to get investors to pour more money into that.
Of course.
The advantage that companies like Apple and Microsoft and Amazon and Google have is that they have their own revenue, and Meta have their own revenue streams independent. Meta is spending almost every penny it makes on AI now.
And I think
that's a lot of pennies. That's a hell of a lot of pennies.
I think it makes sense for them because what else are they going to do?
What else are they going to do?
Platform, you know. So I mean, the platform is pretty.
So it is more likely that you're going to see this kind of hardware from one of those companies because they can afford to pour money.
Also because Zuckerberg just does not seem like he has any sort of a plan. He is like a chicken. When he sees a flashing light, he has to go towards the flashing light. Whereas you feel as though Google, you feel as though OpenAI, you feel as though Perplexity, all these companies have an idea of here's a lane that we think we can do really good things in, some with bigger ambitions than others. But Meta, it's like, let's
be honest.
You jangle the keys and he'll go in a different direction.
Who's dreaming more about this than Apple? This is where Apple sees themselves, right? They want to be the hardware makers. They'll let and they were smart. They said, maybe other people maybe we'll use Gemini. By the way, they picked the right horse.
If it requires a thing in your ear or a thing in your pocket that's got a nice screen that you might want to look at to read whatever it is, and it runs the AI agent, I think they're okay with it. I mean, honestly, and that's where I'm sure that they're racking their brains of like, what are we missing here? But I just have a hard time thinking that, I mean, the risk is that it's all commoditized. But even then, like, I think what Apple has shown over the last 20 years is that Apple makes nice hardware that's well integrated, and that's not a commodity. That's not a commodity. We see what the commodity products are cheaper,
right,
and they're worse. So like Apple has a place to fit into a world where apps fade away and AI comes to the fore, because if they really, at the end of the day, are still, I mean, in fact, we talked about Apple's software weaknesses. You know, if a lot of that fades into the background and it's really about Apple has great chips on device to run some AI stuff, and it's got great modems to connect to the cloud, and it's got great integration between its smartphone in your pocket and its headphones in your ears and its thing on your wrist, maybe that's its great advantage.
Yeah, but I think that
15 years.
I think the other thing is again, it's just being faster than the other person when being chased by a bear. There's a lot of people that use Apple products that go, I wish Apple wouldn't be so aggressive. But it's not very many Apple users are going, well, I'm going to jump ship, you know, next year if this doesn't work. You know, I think that's, you know, it would take a lot to get down that path. And so
that's the old rule. It has to be 10 times better than the existing product to woo people away.
Yeah, and so the thing, and every year, I mean, like, you know, the benefit of being an Apple user for a long period of time. So I was on X or whatever talking to somebody about the fact that they were talking about like 3D looks pretty good on headsets, but the Meta doesn't have a really easy way to do that. And I'm like, as an Apple user, I have 650 movies that I bought on Apple TV, and half of them are 3D. You know, and you throw them on, and so the lock-in of having all that content and all the other stuff that's all there, and having it all, you know, I think that's where these both Google and Apple and others and Meta to some degree, you know, have this huge advantage of, you know, there's already this tie-in. I think Meta, the challenge that they have is that there's a lot of trust issues. And so it's kind of like when I look at Meta products, I have a trust issue. You know, like I had the portal day one, and I turned it on when I used it and unplugged it when I didn't. And that's a problem for Meta, you know, and I think Google has less of that problem, but it's still like, you know, they are making money with our data.
I had two portals, but I gave them to Burke and he took them apart.
Took them apart. Yes, yeah. And you know,
I don't know what he did with them, but
and the portals were, you know, this gets into like and this is where Meta almost was, you know, the portal was an amazing piece of hardware. And I don't think people realize how hard it is to make a piece of hardware like that. But it was just an amazing piece of hardware that was developed. It was just, but Meta's overall experiences, and I think that's going to be the issue that a lot of people are going to have, is that I think even inside of all of the stuff that's happening and all the disruption that might happen, Google and Apple are still, you know, the inside track, you know, on making this work, because they have a bunch of hardware, they have a bunch of people integrated, they have a bunch of people, and Google is, you know, kicking, you know, down the field. Google's definitely running down the field with a lot of these things. I think Apple, again, as someone who uses, I don't know, 3 or 4 different AI tools any given day and probably ChatGPT every hour, I don't feel like I'm waiting. There's never a time when I'm like waiting for Apple to figure out its intelligence thing. You know, like I don't have any sense of that right now. And I think that there'll be some time when I wish, there's lots of things that I wish Apple would do, but it gets down to things like, I just wish I could say, I had this conversation with someone on email in 2014 or somewhere around 2014 about this thing, and can you find me those emails for me? Like that, of just not having to do a Boolean search, that would be transformational for me. That's all I need it to do. Like and if it does the other things down the path, I think that's great. But I think Apple's got a lot more time than people think. I keep saying that, but I just don't think it's that much of a rush. And I think that it's way harder for OpenAI to build a piece of hardware. I mean, hardware is so hard.
Hey, Apple and Google, as usual, are yin and yang. They're contrasting attitudes, where Apple's goal is, we will do everything that we do is to the service of selling more phones, selling more watches, selling more laptops, selling more AirPods. Whereas Google's approach is, everything we do is, the more we can get people to use the service, the more money that we make. And so therefore, we're going to put as few obstacles as possible to let people use our services on any device that they want to bring with them. And between the two of them, they cover a lot of the pie chart. And I agree with you. I don't know how OpenAI's big advantage is, of course, its user base. But at some point, it's going to need the advantage of Apple being able to control the full stack of hardware. It's going to need the advantage of Gemini of Google being able to control the full stack of AI and access to as many platforms as possible with the intimacy that they have, and they're not going to be able to get that. It's going to be fun to watch.
Let's take a break. We've got more to talk about. You're watching MacBreak Weekly, 1000th episode with Andy Ihnatko, Alex Lindsay, and Jason Snell. Our show today brought to you by Framer. If you're still jumping between tools just to update the website, oh man, I got a better way. Framer, Framer, unifies design, CMS, and publishing all on one canvas. No handoff, no hassle. Everything you need to design and publish all in one place. Framer already built the fastest way to publish beautiful production-ready websites, and now it's redefining how you design for the web. With the recent launch of Design Pages, a free canvas-based design tool, Framer is more than a site builder. It's a true all-in-one design platform, from social assets to campaign visuals to vectors and icons, all the way to a live site. Framer is where ideas go live, start to finish. And did I mention it's free? Framer is a free, I might have mentioned that. It's free, full-featured design tool. Think unlimited projects, unlimited pages, unlimited collaborators, and all the essentials, vectors, 3D transforms, gradients, and wireframes, everything you need to design totally free. Framer is your entire workflow in one place. No Figma imports, no messy HTML. It's faster, it's cleaner, and more efficient. You got to try this. And you can use it to design websites, sure, but more than just websites. Framer lets you create social assets, campaign visuals, icons, even site resources, all inside the tool. No more switching back and forth, which means no more duplication of effort, no more cutting and pasting, no more export and import. It's all there. Framer stands above the others because it's not just a site builder. Framer is a true design tool that also just happens to publish professional, production-ready sites. If you're ready to design, iterate, and publish all in one tool, start creating for free at framer.com/design. And when you're ready to go pro, use the code MacBreak for a free month of Framer Pro. That's framer.com/design and use the promo code MacBreak. Framer.com/design, promo code MacBreak. Rules and restrictions may apply. Thank you, Framer, for supporting MacBreak Weekly. There is a lot of concern right now in the hardware world about the rising cost of components, particularly RAM, like doubling in price. Lenovo has said they are stockpiling components. They're more than 50% more inventory because they're concerned about the prices going up. Are we going to see big price jumps on next year's Apple products?
I think Apple generally, and they talked about this a little bit, they do a lot of long-term contracts and buying in order to mitigate all this stuff. Apple plays a lot of games in order to make sure that they're not surprised by changes. So my guess is no.
When you're big enough, you can control that a little bit.
And often they have long-term deals that lock in prices and that they take, the first million of whatever out of the factory. So I think it's less likely. They also do a lot of hedging. So they play a lot of games where they'll spend money to get confidence that the price won't go up. So if that makes any sense, like they'll pay more than the upfront in order to guarantee that they get what they need. So they're generally insulated from this. If it happens long term, they may have to deal with it. But I think they've addressed recently in their earnings calls that they try very hard to keep that stuff kind of keep a lid on it. And so I doubt that they will be affected.
Well, in that case, let's all get ready for the folding iPhone next year. According to Gurman, 100 iPhone folds have been made using a new technology that eliminates the ugly crease. No more ugly crease. UDN, another supply chain journal, reports that Apple was heavily involved in redesigning both the panel and the fold mechanism in order to eliminate the crease. It is a Samsung screen, after all. Presumably the same screen I have here on my Galaxy Fold.
Yeah, or it's the next one. Whatever
maybe the next one.
The next Galaxy Fold will have. I think it's really interesting too. That I mean, this is Samsung and Apple work together to make this display. Obviously, Apple has been taking samples of Samsung's folding displays for a while now and talking to them, because Samsung is not just a phone competitor; they're a display supplier. And it sounds like Apple worked with Samsung to Apple design some things that they wanted to be part of the device production for Apple. So it sounds like maybe this display will be a little different than what is offered by others, and maybe that will have some secret sauce in it. I don't know.
UDN writes, the inner screen is exclusively supplied by Samsung. I'm getting this from 9 to 5 Mac. But the panel structure, material processing process, and which is a little redundant, but anyway, and laminated pressing method are all designed by Apple. And the key component bearings are also shared by Apple and two suppliers, New Reishing and Amphino Development, so that when the panel and bearing are integrated, the permanent creases of the traditional folding machine in the middle of the screen can be avoided.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it interesting that we've never had, even back in the 80s, we've never had a mechanically operated phone where there's a mechanism that makes it work, that has to work properly and has to keep working for years and years and years. And now we've actually got it. And it's been demonstrated over the past 4 or 5 years that is by far the most vulnerable part of any sort of a folding device. How do you design that hinge to not only make that ditch as inconspicuous as possible, but also so that the thing doesn't get one little tiny piece of wind-blown sand in the wrong place, and suddenly you've got a big crack right down the middle of the display.
It won't be cheap. 9 to 5 says they should call it the Ultra, because analyst Fubon says, based on their supply chain analysis and Apple's typical margins, they expect the iPhone price to reach $2,400, which is a bit of a premium over the Galaxy, but I think it's a couple $100 more than the Galaxy.
But Apple users will pay it. They've got the extra money for.
So will you guys? Are you guys going to?
Oh, not me.
So
not even interested.
I am. And the reason I am is that I am an iPad forward person, right? Like iPad.
But what if it's an iOS, not iPad OS? I was wondering about this.
We'll see about that. But what I'm thinking is, right now, I use my iPad most of the time. My iPhone is like on a dock in the kitchen at night, right? But like, what if I had one device that was basically an iPad mini most of the time, when I'm using it, and then I could fold it closed and I could take it, put it in my pocket and take it with me. I'm interested in seeing how that would work and how that would feel, because I like my iPad so much. Could that device replace my iPad for a lot of things? I don't know.
And you'll pay $2,400 for an iPad, not a bigger one.
I have.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm absolutely the target audience for this, because there's nothing I'm so forward for the idea of there so many times where I will just travel with like my phone and like a folding keyboard, because I might want to do a little bit of writing, do a little bit of work. I want to have that availability, but it doesn't I'm trying to tell myself, no, you're just going to be calling around this 12.9-inch iPad Pro and doing nothing with it. It doesn't justify it. But nonetheless, for $2,400, I don't think that's overpriced. I think that that's a very, very rarefied air for people that can justify that kind of expense for essentially the cost of a top tier iPhone Pro plus a top tier iPad mini. The ability to fold it and stick it inside a jacket pocket has to be a very, very useful thing for that buyer, or that buyer simply has the amount of money they can spend on that kind of a thing. But again, it's different for Apple than for other makers, because whereas when the first Samsung foldable came out, you kind of had to anticipate that they were just getting it out there to see how well it works. Like, they were confident in it, but there were going to be problems with it. With Apple, people are going to anticipate that, no, they have waited this long. If they've been listening to MacBreak Weekly, they know how long they've worked on co-developing the right kind of screen and the right kind of hinged mechanism to make it work. They have a high expectation of fit, finish, and style that they feel as though $2,400 will very, very much justify. I'm more interested actually in the trifold devices that are starting to come out. The idea of having, again, a shirt pocketable or jacket pocketable device that turns into essentially a full-size iPad that is super sweet. I don't have $3,000 for that, but years. Yeah, exactly. It's still, boy, it really is racing the edge. Even the people who are, Huawei's making it, Samsung is making it, but doing it in very, very, we will release it in this market explicitly because we can't make enough of these. And also, I don't think we want to deal with all the customer service if we start to sell more of these than we actually need. Bleeding edge stuff to be sure, but oh my God, that is George Jetson, like, push button world of the future stuff where you just simply keep folding something until it's in a package that you actually want, and then you unfold it until it's your 65-inch 4K HDR display that you're just leaning against the side of the bus terminal because your bus is 15 minutes late and you want to watch some Apple TV.
Darren Oki in our Discord agrees with you. He says, bifold makes no sense. Trifold. Now that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. Of course, next September, Apple's going to show it and everybody's going to go, oh, have to have it. And we'll see. I might end up getting it. But that's a lot. And I don't like the folding phones I have, to be honest. But we'll see.
No, I mean, it isn't always the story. It's all about the implementation. I also think, the price is going to have to come down. But as a starting point, if it has iPad-like characteristics on the inside, right? I mean, Apple's great advantage is that Apple's platform has done way better by tablet stuff than Android has. And so if they can bring what they've got on the iPad side to that device when it's open, things could be interesting. And I'm not saying that this is going to be the case, but I enjoy imagining, could I end up in a world where I do have my phone, on my nightstand every night? And then in the morning when I want to read my RSS feeds, I just flip it open and I got an iPad mini there. That sounds pretty fun. That sounds, I don't know whether it's practical or not. It's always going to be about the details and how Apple implements it and how good that display is and all of that stuff.
Now, by the way, that's iOS 27. I mean, some of their effort's going to go into Apple Intelligence. Some of their effort's going to go into making this software sing on this kind of unique platform, and they may not have a lot of time to do Snow Leopard.
I don't know. I feel like they've got all the pieces for this thing. The real question is how much of the iPad interface are they going to put on it? Right?
Is it iOS or iPad OS? Yeah.
Is it going to be? Well, I mean, they'll call it. First off, iOS and iPad OS are the same thing. All they do is change features essentially based on the hardware. So they can call it whatever they want, but is it very iPad-like when you open it, or does it really only do like full screen and left-right tile?
Well,
who knows?
There's an interesting story from Reddit. So a Redditor exploited a problem, a security problem with iPad OS, or I forget whether it was iPhone OS or iPad OS 26.1, that allowed him to basically install iPad OS.
Oh, I saw that.
On
his
iPhone
phone
17 Pro. Yeah. And he said that it runs everything perfectly fine. When he connects an external display, he gets like the full iPad desktop experience. And it suddenly made, and of course, Apple has already closed the bug because, again, it is a security hole that they need to patch. But as Jason said, the idea that the line between what kind of device this is and what kind of software it can run is very fungible, very, very malleable. If Apple decides that they want every iPhone to have a desktop experience like the iPad, every time you plug it into an external display, they could absolutely.
I think it's going to be the iPhone mullet. So it's iOS in the front, and then it's iPad OS in the back. What do you think? So you get the best of both worlds.
I don't see why you wouldn't do it. If you can run iPad OS multitasking on the iPad mini, you could run it on the open fold screen.
Yeah. So you have iOS in the front because it's appropriate for that form factor. Mm-hmm. And then you open it up and suddenly it's an iPad.
Yeah, I don't think Apple would step on a rake that way and say that we're going to make it they won't
say it, but they won't say it.
Yeah, I think the challenge is going to be in how they handle simple multitasking, because a thing the iPad does not do now is simple multitasking. You have a mode you go into, and they've added a bunch of stuff in the 26.2 betas to make that even easier to get things in slide over and split view. But you probably on a screen like that want to make it really easy for people to just get a one on the right, one on the left kind of app view. And, that would be something that's not quite, it's there in iPad OS, but how you get to it is probably more complicated. So I think that's the question is do they want to have a simplified step, or do they just want to have full on iPad, or both? Yeah. We'll see.
And how do they handle the transition of you're using an iPhone, then you suddenly pop it open? Does that imply that the user wants the app on the iPhone screen to turn into an iPad app or not? there's going to be a lot of fine details. I'm really excited about this because every single piece of news we've had about it is not about Apple. Oh, of course, we've been experimenting with what would happen if we did a foldable iPhone. The amount of investment that the information we're getting from analysts demonstrates that Apple is really, really deeply invested and committed to making this a superior experience compared to other foldables out there. Not just hey, we made one of those, which is kind of like what I'm not going to say it. We're not going to just make another one of those. We're actually going to make one that makes sense for us and that only we can do. And I'm very, very certain that unless I have a very, 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 very serious change in my economic situation this time next year, like I could have $2,400 to spend on upgrading my hardware. I do not have $2,400 to spend on like a third phone for this edge case scenario. But my God, I'm going to be in the Apple store and I'm going to be like calling Apple saying, hey, how about you send me one of those for about a month and I could pretend that I own it.
Now, Andy, if you were in Italy, you could go to Media World and get a good deal on an iPhone. They accidentally sold a bunch of 13-inch iPads for €15, the equivalent of about $17.
Should have been about $1,000, yeah.
It was a deal for loyalty card holders on November 8th. 11 days later, they said, oops, I don't know how you say it in Italian. Oh my God, we saw whoopsies. And they said, hey, can we have it back?
Yeah.
Or pay up.
No, they also offered, but if you want to keep it, we will charge you not the full price, but we will give you a $150 equivalent discount. It's like, yeah, how about I keep the $1,000 iPad? Apparently, it's in the U.S. The problem here is that the user terms of service in the buy does not include that critical line. By the way, if there's an obvious mistake in pricing, we are not going to honor these prices, and we might try to not like sell you this thing at the advertised price. Apparently, that doesn't exist in the sales agreement, and for that reason, there's a question of: do you just want to fight? In Italy, with Italian consumer laws, do you want to try to fight this and stand your ground for as long as it's going to take for them to say, okay, we agree that we don't have legal standing here, and we're going to stop trying to charge your card an extra equivalent of $950 for this? I think a lot of people would be like, do I really have to start fighting this each and every week, or do I simply accept that okay, it was fun for a while? Maybe they won't get it back in the original resaleable condition because maybe before I got your email, I put all kinds of really, really offensive stickers all over the back of it for my favorite offensive proto-punk bands. And now it's your job to get out the WD-40 and clean it up. Thank you for ripping me off.
They don't say how many they sold. I'm hoping it's many. Yeah. Anyway, it's going to be a lovely Christmas. Let's see. What else?
Should we talk about AirDrop?
AirDrop? It's now on Android devices, so you're really happy about that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm super happy because that's one of my biggest pain points of being my only platform that is not Apple is my phone. And the amount of times I've had to, I need to just share a URL or a note or a picture between two devices, and I have to basically paste into a Google Keep note or use a third-party utility that I have to make sure is installed on all my devices. The idea of just simply being able to use the standard peer-to-peer file/data sharing platform for Android that recognizes and interfaces with these standard peer-to-peer files and data sharing platform standard on iOS. That is a big solution. I don't have the right phone for this, but the key to this is it only works right now on the latest Pixel phones. But the technology underlying it, this is basically Apple came out with AirPlay. And then, AirShare, and then the Wi-Fi Alliance said, hey, that's a good idea. Let's basically take this, build upon it, and turn it into a standard called Wi-Fi Direct that could be supported by pretty much anything with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
So it didn't take Apple's cooperation to do this.
The Verge asked Google explicitly. They said, no, we had absolutely no help from Apple on this whatsoever. What happened was the EU, of course, it was a compliance thing where they made Apple support this new standard in iOS 26, and it just took this long for Google to actually implement it. They say that they're going to try to expand it to Android proper, so you don't necessarily have to have the latest Google Pixel flagship phone to make it work. But people who have the right hardware have been saying, no, it's not a hack, it's not a trick, it just simply works. The only limitation is that it doesn't work in the contacts only mode. You have to, on the iPhone side, you do have to say, click, hey, allow AirDrop from everybody for the next 10 minutes. And of course, it automatically turns itself off. Google says that they are working on a way to implement contacts only sharing that way, because it does not feel like there is any amount of detente between Apple and Google that's making this work. And there's still the question of, can Apple be kind of petulant and figure out a way to stop this from working? And would they do that? I don't think they would, because that would be more petulant than it would take effort to be that petulant, and that's expensive. And they may as well just simply allow this thing to keep on happening.
Android has had Quick Share for some time, which is basically AirDrop between Android devices and Windows systems, but now they go cross-platform.
Yeah, and it does. And the last thing is, it doesn't work between Android phones and Mac because the EU did not force Apple to support Wi-Fi Direct on Macs. So AirDrop does not work. Only works on iOS devices, but it works like bejesus on iOS devices, which is a good thing.
You know what also works? It's kind of interesting. Delta Airlines has decided to incorporate AirTag information into their baggage handling system. So if you have an AirTag in your luggage, and I know, Alex, you have AirTags in all your carry-ons and checks.
I saw that, and I was like, I don't know what I need from Delta to do this. Like I kind of...
Well, you already know where your bags are, but this way you could go to the Delta representative and say, I know where my bag is.
I've done that already. Like, hey, it's called my phone. I just go, here's where the bag is.
Right back there, baby.
So I guess the integration's great. I mean, I think that, I fly a lot of United, and United tells you everything. I mean, I have AirTags in all my stuff, but United also tells you it got on the plane, it got off the plane, it's going to here.
I love that.
They've gotten much better.
They've got
about
their own
it.
Stuff. Yeah.
So I think that's, so I don't feel as needed, but the biggest reason I have AirTags in is someone accidentally, and I really don't think it's really, in most countries, you're not worried about nefarious, someone like stealing your bag. It's someone grabbing a bag that looks like yours and just knowing that it ran off, it's driving down the road somewhere, and being able to, follow up with that person.
Andy, are you sure that it doesn't work between the Pixel 10 Pro and Max? Lee Woods in our YouTube chat said he has used it. To AirDrop to between Pixel 10 Pro and I have a Pixel 9. I should see if I can get it to work.
I don't have a Pixel 10 Pro in front of me in my house, so but I called somebody who had one and had them try it. They said that it did not work.
Okay,
so that's what was going on. But if someone is making it work, then and also someone else basically was. Sorry, I talked to another person who said that it doesn't work that way, but ideally I will have tried it myself, and I have not done that because I lack the correct hardware.
We're gonna have to get Andy a raise. That's all I can say. So
I will support that. Those this is color printing, man. That's not.
Oh, you printed those out? You didn't go out to the party store and buy those?
Like I said, I actually did weigh it out because there is a store in my neighborhood that does like balloons, and I thought, how big of a snickerdoodle am I going to look like walking?
That's a nice. What's
walking
the printer
like
you did that on? That looks pretty darn good. Is that Dye-Sub?
No, it's a color laser printer HP.
Lots of color. It's rich.
Really, really good stuff. I replaced my actual dry toner laser printer that dates to my iOS 11. Last year.
And we always called the color laser printers business color because they were so desaturated. But that's really looks like a print.
My difficulty is that I just don't print things often enough to, if I have an inkjet cartridge, it will just absolutely dry out.
Oh yeah, that would kill it. Yeah.
But this actually has good longevity, so it makes sense. And this actually has modern printing features as opposed to the 2013 LaserJet.
So the EU giveth with AirDrop, but it also taketh away. Poland is now probing Apple over app tracking transparency, saying it gives Apple an advantage over other advertisers. Hey! To the Polish anti-monopoly regulator, ATT may have limited advertisers' ability to collect user data for advertising purposes. Yeah, that's the point. While simultaneously favoring Apple's ad program. Well, we know that, right? It doesn't prohibit first-party tracking, just third-party tracking. They did this 5 years ago. They held a similar probe. They're doing it again.
I mean, it just feels like the politicians that are doing this don't understand the difference between third party and first party.
Right.
They don't.
It does give Apple an advantage, though. I mean, it gives
them an advantage. I mean, it gives you an advantage if you're doing first party, but it also
it's our phone, right?
It's a huge privacy intrusion for third party. The idea that I can take your information and sell it to somebody else. I get that there's an advantage to having first party, but it's still we as users. It's not like Apple's turning it off automatically. It's asking users, do you want someone to take your data and sell it to somebody else ongoingly? And users have the choice to say, no, I would like to not have my data sold to somebody else. And I just feel like that feels so clear to me that I find it fascinating that any politician would sit there and want to, I just feel like they don't understand it. Like they're just being, and I get that the companies that sell it are making a big deal about it and trying to make it sound normal, but it's not right. If I'm okay with it, for sure, but it's not, I should be able to, as a user, turn that off. So
let's take a little break. We'll come back with more. You're watching MacBreak Weekly with Andy Anako, Alex Lindsay, and Jason Snell, our 1000th episode, and I've eaten all the cake, so I may pass out momentarily. We'll see. I know my blood sugar is going sky high. Our show today brought to you by Spaceship. Oh, I love these guys. If you've been listening for a while, we've been talking about Spaceship for quite some time. And I'm actually I feel a little bit proprietary about it, like maybe we helped them succeed. They just passed a major milestone, brand new, right? Over 5 million domains under management. You don't go from 0 to 5 million by chance. It's because Spaceship delivers real quality and features that make sense, not just for domains, but for everything that helps you build and run your online presence. That means hosting, business email, even tools for creating and managing web apps, all in one straightforward platform. Take a look at their great website. It really is amazing, all the features they have. They have a really nice end-to-end messaging thing they call Thunderbolt, which I've been using, and it's nice because it's tied to your domain name. So if you're a business, if you're yahoo.com, that could be a messaging address, or it could even be, sales@yahoo.com could be the messaging address, which is really, really cool. I had somebody email me say, hey, yeah, but there's no Leo's IM. I bought it from Spaceship for $4.99 a year, set it up with Thunderbolt for no additional cost. But then somebody said, yeah, but there's no website on it. And I said, oh, well, that's easy to fix. I went to the Spaceship interface. Couldn't have been easier. Clicked a button, forwarded it to my website. They even automatically added a SSL certificate. They did the whole process with one button. I was blown away. So now it's SSL. You go to leos.im. You'll get automatically sent over to my website. They've made it really, really easy. It's not the only reason, though, people are switching. The pricing has something to do with it, too. Essentially, Black Friday and Cyber Monday level value, but you don't have to wait for Thanksgiving all year round. You don't have to wait for a sale to get a great deal. I couldn't believe the pricing. In fact, right now, Twit listeners get exclusive offers that make it even better. Just go to spaceship.com/twit. So whether you're planning a new online project or moving an existing one, Spaceship has what you need to get it launched, connected, and running smoothly, plus more affordably, too. Also, check out their business email, all the stuff they have. It's really impressive. They've done it right. And below market for domain names just makes it sweeter. Check out spaceship.com/twit to see the exclusive offers and find out why millions have already made the move. That's spaceship.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support and for making a really, 21st century domain registrar. It's just the best. Spaceship.com/twit. You should check it out. It's time for the Vision Pro segment.
Again?
What do you see? What do you know? It's time to talk the Vision Pro.
You don't get to be the premier Vision Pro podcast in the world without multiple Vision Pro segments in a single episode. That's only one. This is from the roadtovr.com. New Apple immersive content coming soon to Vision Pro from Real Madrid. That's football. And Red Bull. Apple has announced that they are going to support the Spanish football club, Real Madrid, with a new immersive documentary coming exclusively to Vision Pro. They are using, get ready, Alex, over 30 Black
Magic cameras. There was a rumor that they were using 100, and it sounds like it's only a mere 30.
Only 30.
A mere 30, yeah.
During their 2025-26 Champions League, which pitted Real Madrid against Juventus. That will be something to see. Except, do you think switching from camera to camera in Vision Pro might be a little...
Well, I don't think they said that it was going to be live. So,
I think it's a documentary.
Yeah, I think that we've already seen a lot of stuff that's edited, and cutting between different locations and everything else. I think it is something that you do want to be jumping and seeing something else and moving back. And I think that it's going to be, I will say that I happen to have done a lot of 360 with soccer. And I find it very difficult to make it good.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm wondering.
I'm kind of like, more power to him, but like, that's not the place. I mean, now there's also I believe there's some partnerships with basketball. Basketball is actually pretty cool in 360. I haven't done as much in 180. But in 360, it's pretty cool. Things that are closer to you, I think generally makes more sense than what things that are far away. The problem with the soccer pitch is it's so big that it doesn't really resolve very well.
Right.
So
just little people running around.
So I think
on the field.
Locker room stuff, prepping things, practicing. If you're talking about a documentary, there's opportunities seeing the fans. There's things that you can experience
behind the scenes stuff.
I think it's behind the scenes stuff that's going to be interesting to see how that works.
Let's go to the locker room. I think that's a great idea.
Well, people like dealing with injuries or dealing with, how, there's all kinds of crazy prep things that people do and everything else. That could be interesting. I think the actual games themselves will probably, there'll be a goal here and there. That's because where you end up putting all your 180 cameras and 360 cameras are at the goal. Because that's where, that's where it makes sense. That's where everyone's going to try to get to. So, but so you'll see some goals, you'll see some maybe close, but I think most of it's going to be probably just telling the story around it. So that'll be interesting.
Sense.
Yeah.
We mentioned a couple of months ago that there was going to be a series called The World of Red Bull Extreme Sports and Vision Pro. The first one is coming next week, December 4th. Backcountry skiing, featuring the world's top free skiers taking on the wilderness of Revelstoke, British Columbia.
And Red Bull's been doing immersive for a decade.
Right.
Like this on
GoPros though, right?
With all kinds of things, with GoPros, with a variety of 3D cameras, with immersive cameras. So they have a lot of experience in this area. Apple, when it came out, very quickly gave us some Red Bull stuff that was, felt a little long in the tooth, from a quality perspective. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with here.
Next episode, Big Wave Surfing from Tahiti will arrive sometime next year. It takes them a long time to make these. It's interesting.
The rendering, as someone who's working on footage from the rendering takes a long time. There's not really a way to speed it up.
A lot of pixels.
So as you start to work on it, especially trying to squeeze all the quality out of it that you want to, it's still it's much easier than it used to be, but it's still an incredible amount of work to get it just right.
And barring anybody with any other Vision Pro news, I believe that is your Vision Pro segment, part 2.
Now you know we're done talking the Vision Pro.
Geeking Tom in our Discord chat, our Club Twitch chat, reminds me that last week we were talking about the demise of the Mac Pro, not announced by Apple, but kind of a Mark Gurman exclusive. And I said, well, we got to ask Alex Lindsay how he feels about that. Gurman's point is that, well, they got the studio and that's all anybody really needs.
I don't know. I think that there's still a place for the Pro. You know, I don't know what they're going to do, but I think that, I mean, all I have are studios. So I will say, like I say, I think there's a place for the Pro, and then all I have
not in my house. Yeah.
But I think that, you know, there is, you know, being able to have more expandability, I think makes a big difference. Being able to have a lot more USB lanes, USB-C or Thunderbolt lanes, being able to add potentially cards and other things to the case. I think what's interesting is that the Pro has really made something that's the same as the Studio, but with extendability. And I think that there's still some arguments to make that extendability work. So I feel like it would be a loss if Apple never released another one, but who knows? I mean, it's one of those things that, again, I've been pretty happy with the Studio. There's definitely things that I wish I could put inside the computer. I have a lot of Sonnet boxes sticking out, holding my video cards, you know, and that's the kind of thing that would be nicer to put in the box, you know, than have it outside the box. But from a cost perspective, it's just made more sense to have the Studio.
Yeah.
And it's great to take a Studio and throw it in a little Studio bag you can buy for $40 on Amazon and take it with you, you know, like you know, and just plug it into any old monitor and have it go. And
I mean, clearly Apple is abandoning some users, but they've apparently decided, or at least the rumor is they've decided those users are too few to worry about.
I think that the issue is that when you look at the ecosystem that supports, for instance, the Vision Pro, it's really important to have all of that hardware there. You know, that's the issue is that you need my M3 Ultra. Now, it's not the nicest, it's not the most powerful Ultra, it's the base Ultra, but it's rendering immersive content at half res at 1 frame a second.
Yikes.
so like you know, and that's a pretty fast computer. So the need for heavy processing, the need for a lot of RAM, the need for potentially extensibility.
And you can't do that on any other. You couldn't do that on Windows or a Linux box. You have to have a Mac.
I think that there is going to be some support. I think, you know, eventually there could be some. I think you feel like you want it to be available. To be honest, in Resolve, I think you want Resolve to be able to run. It runs on a PC, and it'd be great to be able to get a PC with 4, you know, enterprise level NVIDIA GPUs to push through the system, because a lot of this isn't so much specially. A lot of the things that take a long time is noise reduction. So that noise reduction is typically a third party. It's not something that Apple's doing. It's a third party to remove that out, and that's what's really slowing things down. And so I think that there would be the problem with VR is that noise doesn't really work. It kind of takes you out of it. So you have to get rid of all that noise, but then you have to gain things up to shoot. And so there's this back and forth that you're kind of dealing with. And then there's also very, very complicated sharpening that's required to make this work, you know, to sharpen some things and not other things. And so I think that's you know, I think that those things take a long time to render, and we would love to see something, either a more powerful Mac or PCs or access to PCs that had multiple GPUs to run them.
Right.
Well, I mean, there is going to be a more powerful Mac, because even Gurman reports there's going to be an M5 Ultra. But like, I'm not. The reason I'm not seeing it is because, first off, external GPU, it's just a ship that sailed with Apple Silicon, and I can't imagine them deconstructing Apple Silicon.
I kind of wandered off. No, I don't expect to see
bring it back. And I mean, you mentioned expandability, and like your M3 Ultra Mac Studio has 6 Thunderbolt 5 ports, so it's got 6 lanes of whatever that is.
I don't think it has 6 lanes.
It does.
It does.
120 gigabyte per second. I think all 6 are there. And there's no difference between that and the Mac Pro. So the only really difference is it's inside the box rather than doing it in a breakout box. And I mean, boy, that's not a lot of difference.
Yeah. I mean, video, it just depends if you're doing video. Like, video processing would be great to have. You know, you got to put a quad card in, or a couple quad cards in. You know, these computers are so fast that being able to put, like, I could easily, like, let's say for a Zoom ISO situation, I could easily put 2 quad cards into the Pro and have 16 outputs, you know, that are going out from you know, for that kind of thing, and the computer's fast enough to run it without.
Couldn't you put that in a Thunderbolt 5 driven breakout box instead?
You could. I think that at some point you may still end up with bandwidth issues with the way that those work. But it's also just, when you're racking it up, it's a lot less convenient to rack up a breakout. You know, at some point it becomes, hey, I need a certain level of density in the rack without some other cable sticking out. And there's definitely places where we might pick that just because it's more compact and more, but I don't know if that's enough for everybody.
That's what I keep coming back to is that it sounds like functionally they could probably do it. And it's just a matter of maybe it's more convenient to have it in a box. And like, it makes me wonder if what Apple really needs to do is create a box for the Mac Studio.
Yeah, but I mean, Sonnet makes boxes
Mac Pro
for the Mac Studio, like it's, but I think that there are, those are the things
wouldn't PCIe be faster anyway than Thunderbolt 5? I know it's fast, but couldn't you get even faster if you were in the box? Or do you not need faster than 128 gigabytes?
120 gigabytes? Yeah, I think, or gigabit. I think it's...
Is it gigabit or gigabyte?
I don't think
it's gigabyte. I think
it's gigabit.
Is it gigabit? Oh.
Yeah, so that's, it's
not that fast.
It's fast, but it's not, as fast. And again, when you start talking about things like 2110 and being, 2110 is a lot. You go, oh, I'd like 8K. One 8K signal uncompressed is depends on the frame rate, but it's somewhere between 48 and 96 gigabits a second. So having it get the bandwidth goes away really fast. So that's the those are the kind of things that I think that theoretically a hardware machine could handle. So anyway, so it's again, I think that it'll be interesting to see where they go with it, but I do think that there's a market for it. I don't think that market's necessarily massive. But I think that Apple, there was a long time before the Mac Pro got kind of refreshed that a lot of us that were doing really high end work just assumed that we had to go to a PC, like we're going to go up to a certain level, and then and I bought a bunch of PCs to do some of the work that I did, and I think that Apple having the Mac Pro there is more about staying in that place for certain people to not have that ecosystem get mixed up with that, and I think that that's still important to Apple, even if they're not selling millions of them.
Okay. Well, I hope that answers your question.
It's dead. It's not coming back.
It's dead. Dead, Jim.
It's dead.
It's dead.
I'm not saying it's alive or dead. I'm just saying I don't know.
You would buy one. You're saying you would buy one, even though you have stocked up on studios.
I would.
Somebody would buy one.
I think there's people that would buy them. I think that there are. Again, I run out of IO often, and I think even having cards that gave me more IO would be useful for me. So,
yeah.
I think there are people out there who would buy them. There aren't enough of them for Apple.
Yeah.
And it's not. And it's a distinction, and it's to do things that you could do with the Thunderbolt stuff on an Ultra. Right. It's just less clean, and that's probably not enough for them to do it.
I say this that someone who owns two studios and no pros. Yeah. And I do pretty high end work, so I hear you. Yeah.
The fundamental thing is just Apple's path does not include a Mac Pro anymore. It's just doesn't need to do it. It can't do it. It can't serve that customer as well as other hardware manufacturers can, and it doesn't need the business, and it doesn't need the people that needed Mac Pros 10 years ago are being extremely well served by the direction that Apple has taken its hardware in, and so it's just not necessary anymore.
An Apple Thanksgiving surprise, an extra early release of Pluribus this week because they know you want to watch TV with friends and family around the turkey or something.
You want to all be upset together as a family for reasons other than the family business.
I still haven't had time to sit down and watch it.
Alex, it is now the biggest Apple TV series launch of all time.
It's a matter of collecting the whole family together.
99. I know you don't want to watch it without them. 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. What's great about it is because of the way Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, is doling the details out. And we're not going to do any spoilers here because we got to protect Alex's virgin mind. The way he's doling it out is really making it great for conversation. On Reddit. There's all sorts of theories. In fact, Carol Sturka, who is the character Ray Seahorn plays on the show, is doing a Reddit Ask Me Anything in character. Mm-hmm. I guess Roddy Ho did one. I missed that from Slow Horses. This is the AMA. I am Carol Sturka, author of Blood Song of Wakaro. Ask me anything.
I think they should do so many more of these. I'm always surprised
brilliant
that they haven't done like having. I feel like everyone should have Twitter accounts. Like the characters should have X accounts or whatever. And
the other thing I learned from that AMA announcement.
Oh, it's over. Oh, shoot, I missed it. Okay.
Well,
it's Friday.
We have something to talk about next week. But there's also like a sample of this drippy fantasy author's book. Like on Apple Books.
Gosh. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
And I can call it drippy because even she has contempt for her own work, like in the first 10 minutes of the first episode. Did they ask her like philosophical questions? Like on Reddit, people are going on and on about why isn't she doing this or doing that? But she's in character, right? I mean, I don't know. Did you read it? I haven't. I missed it. Well, I'll go back and read it. Yeah, I haven't.
Somebody says, "We want you to be happy, Carol."
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about Walter White? Do you like Chapel Roan? Knowing the fact that you, Mrs. Sturka, live in Albuquerque, I have a question. If you ask for some blue crystallic-like substance, would they bring it to you?
Yeah. The funny thing is, like looking at the people who the band members of Spinal Tap used to say that it was very, very weird when they're playing like concerts with 10,000 people because
buy into it
because they're on stage pretending to be this fake band, and then these 10,000 people are pretending to be their fans.
Right.
And on the AMA, the people like probably wisely understanding that they were not going to get inside information about the production or spoilers, they were asking her questions as fans of this drippy fantasy author.
They're asking about the crocheted hats. They're asking. It's just fantastic. What a wonderful show. 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. Alex, get the family together. You know what? I envy you.
We're down Cemetery Road right now. We're just finishing. We're just staying caught up to it. And then I've been traveling. So that's been.
Yeah, no, I envy you because I wish I could binge this. I hate it that I have to wait a week. But I'm totally unable to not watch it when it comes out.
Other than spoilers, I actually prefer to be behind, like, and then catch up over a couple episodes in a couple days in a row. I find it hard now to remember what happened. I mean, and I've always had this problem. It's not like new for me, but I vastly prefer to watch something once a night, like every night down the road, than once a week. And so I do find this pattern of trying to hold people into their subscriptions by spreading them out to be a pain in the neck. I really love the experience of, we really went back and my family went back and watched all these old shows, and 5 seasons or 8 seasons of them, watching them one a night, over months is it's a much better experience than watching them once a week.
Yeah.
I don't talk to anyone about it either. It's not like I'm wandering around. There's no water.
Well, it's almost impossible if you're on Reddit. I don't go to Reddit until I've seen the football games, watched the F1 race, and watched Pluribus, because otherwise it's just spoiler heaven. It's really good. I'm really, really quite enjoying it. You guys liking it? You've watched it, right,
it's
Jason?
Great.
Yeah,
loving it. I think I'm an episode behind right now. But yeah, it's just no spoilers whatsoever. But it's just
there's a big reveal in the episode that you haven't watched yet. Yeah. So,
but it's highest quality characterization. Yeah. It is what you expect from the maker of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Like everything everybody does, there's a reason for why they do it, and every character is very, very well drawn. And they don't.
He's a brilliant director.
But I hate to feel like this sounds like so pathetic, but it's like, it's amazing, and you're so grateful when you know that the answer to the question, if you ask the creator, why did this character do this, or why was I don't understand this doesn't make any logical sense. The answer is not, well, the answer to that is screw you. That's the answer. Watch the next. Just keep watching. Like, no, there's probably a reason why you don't understand it.
Well, I'll give you an example that isn't really in any way a spoiler, but at one point she flushes a camera memory card down the toilet, and Vince Gilligan, as is his wont, dwells on this memory card being flushed down the toilet. And everybody on Reddit says, oh, he wouldn't do that unless it was going to be important later. And
no, it's a punchline. He's dwelling because he's waiting for you to laugh because it's paralleling an earlier flush.
Exactly. I think that people are so involved in it. They've come up with such elaborate schemes around the whole thing. But I'm sure he's enjoying every bit of it, as are the players and
Jason.
the
The fact that you're overlooking the importance of the flush symbolism in this dialectic means that you're not nearly the fan that I thought you were, and perhaps I can't have you on my Discord for this anymore.
Jammer B says it's Chekhov's thumb drive, and I think that is a deep cut, very deep, and I like it. But I don't think it is. Well, we'll see. You never know. We don't know. And somebody said, "Oh, you." That's a spoiler. That's not a spoiler. Trust me. It's not spoiling a thing.
Nope.
You see, Jason's backing me up.
Yeah. I guess that punchline it won't be as punchy.
Yeah. Well, maybe it will now that you know that it's a punchline. I hadn't thought about that, but now that you say it, I missed that. And then now that you say it, that's why the discussions are fun, because people who are fans of the oeuvre.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Mark Gurman did the Financial Times dirty. We've been talking about, Mark Gurman was talking for months about Tim Cook.
Turf war.
About Tim Cook stepping down and John Turnus is the likely successor. The Financial Times, and we talked about this extensively last week, Alex. It was I think we all agreed that it was probably a planted story, that Apple was planning the story in the Financial Times. That's where you would do it to get investors kind of ready for the notion that Tim Cook might be retiring sometime next year. Despite the fact that Gurman's been beating this drum for 6 months, Sunday he said, "Oh no, that's true. Not true. It's not. The moment of his retirement is not at hand." So did he do a rug pull on the Financial Times? What happened?
I mean, they did. Here's the weird thing. I mean, he says, I already reported this. I believe the FT story did very much say Bloomberg previously reported this. I think they did him that solid, which is the right thing to do. Yeah. His issue is with the timing. Okay. I don't know. Mark Gurman has really good sources. However, I will just say, if he seems less certain, then I think he would have come out harder if he had been more certain and would have said, this is not true. Here's what's going to happen. And instead he was like, it was more like, that's not what I hear, which is kind of soft. And it was sort of like, in the last few weeks, I have not heard anything about this, but are these sources more recent and higher up that are more aware of things that have gone on since then? Also, I will say the FT is playing a game that Mark Gurman also plays, which is no earlier than the end of January. And anybody will tell you that no earlier than the end of January means from January and the end of January to the end of time, or the end of the year if it's going to be next year.
Right.
Either way, and Gurman's like, no, it's probably not even first half. Like, I'm not sure those reports are in conflict. I do feel like maybe the FT got so excited about this story that they make it seem more imminent than their reporting actually bears out, right? Like, they're like, as no earlier than the end of January. They don't say it's going to come at the end of January. And it might, in fact, they might not know and just been reassured that it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen in January. Well, that's not that different than when Mark Gurman reported. So yeah, he does them dirty a little bit and says that he thinks they just made a mistake. I have a hard time believing that 4 bylined reporters at the Financial Times did a whoopsie. I think it's more likely that either they've got information Mark Gurman sources haven't given him, or that they're actually talking about the same thing in different ways. That's my guess.
He says This is where I have concerns. Based on everything I've learned in recent weeks, I don't believe a departure by the middle of next year is likely. In fact, I would be shocked if Cook steps down in the time frame outlined by the Financial Times. Some people have speculated the story was a test balloon orchestrated by Apple or someone close to Cook to prepare Wall Street for a change. Well, he must have been listening to our show last week. But that isn't the case either, Jason Snell.
Yeah.
I believe the story was simply false. So I don't know what to say.
I like simply false. I like, on the one hand, I don't see a lot of new reporting here. This feels more like he's going to go on what he already knows and say this isn't right. And I guess the danger there is that something has changed and there's more information that he's not aware of. And what he didn't say is, I talked to all my sources and they say that this is wrong. He says, in the last few weeks, I've checked in with people and I got no sign of this. That's not the same thing, right? And that's what I mean. Like, I think he's hedging a little bit here because he's like, my sources think this isn't quite right. Although, again, I think maybe he's taking the FT report a little too literally. And so saying, well, I don't think so. But then to say, they just got this wrong. This is false. I don't know. I mean, maybe, but like it would seem like a weird thing for the FT to do to just make that up.
100%. Yeah. And both things can be true. I mean, I don't see anything in either of these reports that contradict each other.
I agree.
And the conclusions, we are still free to conclude why did the Financial Times suddenly get, as Jason said, the thing that stands out to everybody who was looking at this was that 4 bylines on this thing. They didn't just simply see something on Reddit and decide, gee, I need to post something by 1:30 in the afternoon to make my quota. It's going to be this. So it's possible that, again, the line of succession is shaping up, that they want to. It's possible that Apple wants to make that more visible, even if Tim does not have any specific timeline for leaving, but just to reassure people. Just like there was a time where people were wondering, analysts were wondering what happens when Steve Jobs leaves. Well, again, there is clearly someone who is ready to take over or planning to take over. They're not just going to simply go out on LinkedIn and see who has the right credentials to hire. They got a plan. It's fine. Apple announced to celebrate the 40th anniversary of their very successful accessibility efforts, a accessibility phone grip, the Hikawa phone grip and stand, which is MagSafe compatible, so it just goes on with a magnet. So popular, $70 stand, it's sold out already. You can't get it.
Yeah, only in that colorway though.
Other colors. Let's see the green one.
Colors you can go to the.
Does anybody want chartreuse?
Hikawa also sells them.
Chartreuse is sold out.
Different colors.
So you go to Hikawa and get
the special ones from Apple that were in the special colors are not there.
Crater and Chartreuse are sold out, but you go to Hikawa and get one. Okay, that's the limited edition.
I'm betting it's on Thingiverse by now too.
I mean, it looks like you could easily 3D print something like that.
It looks very attractive. Again, it is accessibility oriented, but it looks like a very interesting design of something that could be used as I'm leaning far forward with my phone. I don't want to drop it over the seawall sort of stability versus I want it propped up so I can actually use it standing on a table. Looks nice.
Well, okay.
AliExpress either already has it or will be having it available in the next 11 days. I'm guessing that too as well.
Yeah, right. It doesn't take long to clone it. Bailey Hikawa is a designer. She came up with the design after interviewing phone users with varying disabilities. The design allows the grip to be held in different ways. It can also be used as a stand. It's made of soft touch premium silicone, which I guarantee you your 3D printed Alibaba one will not be. So that's cool. Apparently, Bailey Hikawa is also known for her toilet seats. Wait a minute. This I got to see. Hold on. Oh, interesting. Oh, deep listening toilet seat. Bowl of spaghetti toilet seat.
Oh, man.
Many of which are sold out, I might add, so don't mock it. You can still get the timeless wooden toilet seat in round.
I don't have a statement toilet seat sort of lifestyle. I'm happy for
you. Don't want the secret garden toilet seat? You don't want that? It's sold out, so you can't get it anyway. Handmade to order. Or the Shibuki toilet seat in chamomile, a mere $1,200. I like this. Phone cases and toilet seats are both public and deeply private spaces. Both are dirty.
What do phone cases and toilet seats have in common? Well, now we know. Wow, that's cool. Okay. Apple is very hip. That's all I can say. What else? Anything else? You saw the new ad. I can't show it or they'll take me down for some reason. They don't want me to show their ads. Apple is highlighting the cooling, the vapor chamber cooling in the iPhone 17 Pro. I guess I could show this picture of an ice cube melting or not melting. It's a minute-long video with a man running in the desert, a drop of water falling from the sky to land on his forehead with a sizzle. That's how hot it is, kids.
Maybe you don't want to be exercising in that kind of weather.
Don't exercise in the sizzle heat. If it's sizzling, you should be nizzling.
I've heard about these things called ads.
Oh, yes, ads.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Interruptions. I mean,
they happen in sports if you don't pre-record it and watch it on a delay.
Yeah.
Live sports.
I do
see them go by. I see them go by really quickly as I do a triple click on my, or it's actually 9, maybe 10 clicks on an average football game. Just.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. There's only 11 minutes of action, but I like to watch the ads on the football games are usually the high-end ads, so I like to watch
on the Super Bowl, maybe.
Even on the regular NFL season, man, those are expensive ads. There's a lot of viewers on those things. Google also has an ad. I do not like. Who does the ads with the vanilla ice cream cones, implying that we are using soft serve cones?
Google.
Is it Google? I don't like those. The iPhone is not vanilla, Google. You're vanilla.
Actually, I don't love that about it, but the thing I hate about that ad, and forgive me, all those of you who think that we're about to reach AI superintelligence, but there's a moment where the woman is talking to her AI on her Google phone and says, "Oh, what flowers would go with this?" And it says something, and I'm like, "That's not true. Don't believe him." And she's like, "Well, these flowers live till Saturday," and it goes in that very AI way. Sure. Those will live till Saturday. And I'm like, don't believe it. It doesn't know. It's a lie. Don't listen. But it's like, all right, whatever. Vanilla ice cream. Fine. Go ahead.
The new Google ad, best phones forever. It's anti-Apple, even though it looks like the Pixel and the iPhone are friends. But the iPhone is apparently Ariana Grande, and the Pixel phone is the Wicked Witch of the West because it's green.
Yeah.
And it features an iPhone fawning over a Pixel smartphone before breaking into the Wicked for Good song, which I don't know because I still have not seen either of those movies. And
it's clever and it's a little edgy. It's the For Good song, because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
They're stealing from Apple's stealing from them. Is that what they're implying?
Exactly. Well, because this relationship is one in which Glinda has learned so much and taken so much inspiration from Elphaba, and goodness, I'm so much improved because I knew you and because I was inspired, quote unquote, by you. It's fun.
If you know the movies, then it would be meaningful, although they do put the green Pixel phone in a witch hat and the purple iPhone in a tiara, so I guess it's obvious who's who.
Those cases, if those were for sale, there is
they would do well.
Either one of those, I'd probably take off the tiara and the hat accessories. But
the green one has freckles, which is great.
Yep, again.
Okay.
Pretty tired to be carting out the "you copied some things from us" trope when both sides have copied so much from each other, right back to the original sin of Android being a knockoff of the iPhone from the beginning. So from day one. We not moved past this? But I guess it's just too rich a topic. I mean, if I was in the pitch meeting for something related to Wicked, this is probably the best pitch out of that. But it just feels like, have we not moved on? The vanilla ice cream is much better than this.
It's just a bit. I just want to point out how much I like vanilla ice cream. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that
That's
I go,
true.
well,
I do. It makes me want vanilla soft serve when I see that ad. Yeah.
You can add all the other things that you want
nothing wrong
to
with
the vanilla ice cream.
Put sprinkles on it. Yeah.
It's not competing with everything else. That's exactly
Dip it in chocolate.
On my phone. So
it's
even
the
if
best
they compared it.
Flavor.
If you're trying to evaluate a new ice cream place, there's no place to hide. If you make a really good French vanilla, which is delicious in and of itself, I'm gonna be back to taste the rest of the menu. If you do not know how to do a good French vanilla,
Exactly.
Again,
good point.
How much junk do you have to mix into it in order to make it taste really, really tasty?
French vanilla is the litmus test for good ice cream. I think that's fair. Yeah. Semaphore. Now, we've talked before about how Apple News does not pay very well. Publications were really torn about it. CNN, apparently, according to Semaphore, has dropped out of the Apple News feed, no longer offering their content on Apple News. Don't know what that means. CNN has no comment, nor does Apple. Is it because CNN has decided that it's giving away their news on Apple News isn't a good way to make money? Condé Nast and people, according to Semaphore, have enthusiastically embraced Apple News as a source of eyeballs and revenue.
Yeah, I think CNN started.
They have a paywall now. So
they create new subscription tiers and paywall tiers for two different levels, and so that's basically, this is not the situation they were in 10 years ago when they started this relationship. So it's time to talk.
Right. It's time to talk. Maybe it's like YouTube and ABC. All right, let's take our final break, and if you will, prepare your picks of the week as we wrap up our 1,000th episode of MacBreak Weekly. Thank you, Moto Goyo, for £10. He gave us £10. I'm gonna go out and try to buy an iPad for that. £10 on our YouTube super chat. So thank you, Moto Goyo. He said, and then you review toilet seats after I give you money. Sorry, didn't mean to ruin it for you. We will have more in just a bit, but first, a word from our sponsor, OutSystems, the #1 AI-powered low-code development platform. For years, there was always this build versus buy conundrum. We've been through it at Twit. Should we build our own sales system or buy it? We decided to build it. It's been interesting. Should we build our own back end or buy it? Well, we bought it from somebody who built it. The problem is, you buy it, it's going to be kind of the same as everybody else's. It's going to be generic, software that everybody else is using. You build it, it's often great time and expense. We decided we were going to build our own app at one point. Spent $80,000 many years ago on an app that didn't feel like we could release. It just wasn't very good. So it's always a risk. But now there's a third way, thanks to OutSystems, low code, and AI. Organizations all over the world are creating their own custom apps and AI agents on the OutSystems platform. And with good reason. OutSystems is all about outcomes, helping teams quickly deploy apps and AI agents and deliver results. And man, they have the success stories. Just take a look at their website. They helped a top U.S. bank deploy an app for customers to open new accounts on any device. Man, I wish we'd gone to them. Delivered 75% faster onboarding times. Huge success. They helped one of the world's largest brewers deploy a solution to automate tasks and clear bottlenecks, which delivered a savings of 1 million development hours. They even helped a global insurer accelerate development of a portal and app for their employees. Their in-house system delivered a 360 view of customers and a way for insurance agents to grow policy sales. Again, I wish we had chosen OutSystems all those years ago. OutSystems platform is truly a game changer for development teams. With AI-powered low-code, teams can build custom, future-proof applications and AI agents at the speed of buying. And the nice thing about building with OutSystems is you get all these benefits built in. Fully automated architecture, you get security, you get integrations, you get data flows, you get permissions. All the things you would need to write is there already. With OutSystems, it's so easy to create your own purpose-built apps and agents. There's really no need to consider that off-the-shelf genericware software solution again. OutSystems, #1 AI-powered low-code development platform. Learn more at outsystems.com/twit. That's outsystems.com/twit. Now there is a third way. Build, buy, or outsystems.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support. of MacBreak Weekly on our 100,000th episode. I wish it were. No, our 1,000th episode. How many years? That would be 100,000th would be 200 years. Maybe with AI, maybe that'll be possible.
No, 100,000 would be of a weekly podcast would be almost 2,000 years.
Wish we thought about that before we ate that death by chocolate stuff.
I'm deeply regretting it now. I put some holiday decorations on my screen, but I think I should have paid attention to your pick of the week first, Jason Snell.
Yes, indeed. Festivitas, an app that I think I picked a year ago by Simon Stavring, is back. There's a new update to it. This is an app that lets you hang. It's very clever. It lets you hang Christmas lights, holiday lights, that you choose the colors. You can choose the styles from your menu bar, from your dock. Lots of options. And then new in this version is snow. It will drop snow on your desktop or in front of your stuff. If you'd prefer to have snow in front of your windows, it'll do that too. So really, and he added shortcut support so you can automate it. I actually this morning set up a thing where every 10 minutes a shortcut runs and it or maybe it's 20 minutes and it chooses a random number, and if it hits in 10% of the time it hits, then it snows for the next 10 minutes until it runs again, which is really great. I love the delight of it started snowing, right? And that's also, you can automate this and all that. Super clever, really well built. And then also new is an iPhone and iPad app that adds a bunch of holiday light widgets and stuff.
It doesn't take over the screen in the same way, though. I know.
No, it can't because of iOS. But he built he's had a year to think about how to do it, and so he's built a bunch of widgets that have those holiday lights that he designed for this Mac app on the other. But it's just a really fun, festive. Now is the time to do it. It looks they look really good. So Festivitas.app, I think, is how you get there. Yeah,
that app, and they sell it on Gumroad. It's not in the Mac App Store.
Yeah, it's a Gumroad for the Mac. Pay what you want. I think he recommends €4, but kind of whatever. Yeah. Simon's in Denmark. Yep.
Nice. €4, $4.63. That's a good deal. Mm-hmm. Jason's pick's done, so that means it's Andy and Akko. You're next.
We're talking about AirDrop on Android, and maybe that will be expanding in the future, or maybe it will not. We do not. But so I'm going to re-recommend a solution that I've been using for quite a while. It's called blip.net. It's a standard service that you can install on Mac, Android, Windows, Linux, iPad, iPhone, everything. And it is a direct peer-to-peer file transfer solution that works right through the sharing sheets of whatever platform that you're actually using. So as soon as all you have to do is you have to just simply have your email address logged in for each of these devices. For each one of these apps, you configure with the same email address. And the go-between of blip.net is just simply making sure that each one of your devices knows how to find and connect to each other of your devices over the internet. So it's not like Dropbox where it's sending it to a server and then setting off a download link. Blip.net never actually keeps a copy of your thing. It's just, again, facilitating a direct transfer between one and the other. It's very, very fast. It's free for personal use. If you want to give them some money for enterprise because you're using it for business, they will give you some perks, such as they will give your files priority routing when you were actually using it. A couple other things, but mostly I'm using it on the free tier because for me it's just truly just because I have this video that I want to share from one device to another, or this link that I want to be able to use, this link from my Android phone that I want to use on my Mac right now. Happens very, very quickly, very, very naturally. You just get a notification. To send something, again, I can highlight something or highlight a note on my Android phone, use the sharing sheet, choose Blip. Blip will say, okay, here are your 4 devices or 5 devices that I recognize as being available on Blip. Which one do you send it to? Tap my MacBook. My MacBook gets a notification saying, hey, here's this file coming in. Do you want to accept it? And then boom, it just simply works. Very, very good. Again, I've been using it for months and months and months. Very, very reliable. Very, very simple. And again, if all you need to do is just occasionally airdrop files, so to speak, between one place to another, you're not using it for business where I've got it. You're not in the Alex Lindsay mode where I've got an 8 terabyte, like 8K video that needs to be deployed from one place to another. Absolutely free and absolutely reliable.
Very nice. By the way, it is now snowing in our Club Twit Discord, and I've decorated it with lights thanks to, what is it? Festivitas. I'm having does it stay there? Like, is it on all my, it's not app specific, it's everywhere. Oh yeah, look, my dock is also decorated.
Yeah, you can put it everywhere.
It's everywhere. Wow. Even with Scrooge. I love it. Thank you, Andy. And now, Alex Lindsay's pick of the week.
Not all adapters are made equally. And this is one that I felt like it would be worth mentioning if someone needs to do this. So I'm very sensitive because of what I do. I'm very sensitive to whether something can handle 8 channels of audio or 2 channels of audio. And a lot of your HDMI, USB-C to HDMI adapters only do 2 channels. It's not really published anywhere. I found out about it by accident. And this is the one that I use. You can see that I purchased it 4 times, I think. so it's not very expensive. It's $9.49, but this is made by Uni or whatever you want to call it. They actually make 2 of these. One of them is shorter. It's like this long and a little more square. And that one is stereo. This longer one here is the one that will handle more than stereo. And so what's kind of cool is if you're listening to Apple Music or whatever, and you plug that into your phone, it'll send out a whole bunch of channels, that are, whether you're sending them to a theater, which is what I do, or to to your some kind of surround system. All of those things work better. So it's not very expensive, $9.49, but it is. I have 4 or 5 adapters, and this is the only one. I can't say this is the only one that exists. It's just the only one that's worked. So I would recommend it.
See, and I thought you were going to mention the Lexar 2 terabyte MagSafe SSD that you put on your phone, on the back of your phone, and then you can record to it using ProRes RAW. See, I thought that's what you were going to recommend.
I have a lot of drives. It wouldn't be that bad to do it that way. The problem is I have rigs that are all around
that would get in the way. This is for people like me that don't have anything.
The phone doesn't really work. I use a lot of these little these are the what are these called?
But that works. You can record
Crucials,
right out
X10s.
the USB. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Look how small that is.
Yeah, these are little Crucial X10s. I generally use these for most of that recording out of the phone, and you can definitely record those.
That's cool.
And in fact, there's formats that you can only record from the iPhone 17 if you want to record RAW. You can only record if you have an external drive. It won't record. It won't actually even try to record to the phone. So, so it's
the only way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So
nice.
It's important. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, mine's $139, and yours is a lot less. $9.
$9. See, how often does that happen?
Hey, I want to thank everybody for being here for our 1000th episode. A special thanks to our Club Twit members who make this and everything we do at Twit possible. You pay a quarter now of our operating costs. I think that number is actually going up. I know it will next year as advertising starts to fade into the background. It's really important to us. We want to keep doing what we're doing, and with your help, we can. Ad-free versions of all the shows. You get access to that beautifully holiday decorated Club Twit Discord. It's snowing right now. You also get all that special additional content that we put out only in the Club Twit Plus feed, including Micah's Crafting Corner and Chris Marquardt's photo show and Stacy's book club with Stacy Higginbotham. We had a great time with the Dungeons and Dragons. I think we'll be doing that again. So please, if you will, just give yourself a gift for the holiday season. Twit.tv/clubtwit. You will find a 10% off coupon for the annual plan. You can use it for yourself or the geek in your life. There's also a 2-week free trial. So if you want to know what it's like, Club Twit. Thank you in advance. Twit.tv/clubtwit. Andy Ihnatko, anything to report?
I had a busy week, as Alex knows. Last week, the last stuff that I needed to do. I'm talking about like waking up at 2 a.m. and leaving the house at 3 a.m. a couple of days
I got
last
Andy
week.
to do some stuff for me.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
then just as I'm trying to get caught up on sleep, like my sister, my sister from like far away that I love more than anything, like, hey, I'm going to be in town tomorrow. Like, can you want? I'm like, oh, I really wanted to sleep, but okay, there's no way I'm not seeing you. So yes.
Oh, nice.
This has not been forgotten. This has not been I'm not deprioritizing it, but last week was a very fun.
I'm just giving you an opportunity. No apology necessary.
Thank you. No, thank you for keeping it very, very much live in the public consciousness. I know that people will be almost disappointed when I have an announcement to make because oh no, we're no longer hearing him like explain why it's not this week.
Thanks to you, Mr. Jason Snell. 6colors.com is the upgrade that you did with Mike Hurley in the UK. That's online, right? At 6colors.com/Jason.
Sure. And you can see it on YouTube as well. And
nice.
There we did our little multicam, Final Cut camera multicam thing for that. We've done a couple episodes since then, so people can check in if they want to.
Love it. Appreciate you, Jason. Thank you for being here. And of course, Alex Lindsay, who's been here since the beginning. He's at officehours.global every single morning.
Still doing it. We're still answering questions. I think since the last time I was here, we did do another immersive roundtable discussion.
Nice.
We had Adam on from Sandwich talking about his production. So, so you can check that out at the OH Global Immersive on YouTube. Great discussion. I think that Adam, Brenton, and I could have talked for 2 or 3 more hours. Fun. Such a good time. So I think that would be. There you go.
Good. And of course, if you want to hire Alex, he's busy. But that's because he's the best. 090.media. Thanks to Darren Oakey in our Club Twit Discord for the MacBreak Weekly holiday card. And also thanks to Festivitas for giving it snow and some holiday lights as well. We hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're in the United States. And we will be back next week with another episode 1001. But now, as it has been, for the last 1,000 episodes, I have my 1,000th time to tell you, get back to work because break time is over. Bye-bye.